All right, welcome everyone to Dr. Feelgood's first ever podcast. Don't laugh at me. I've been a part of a lot of them, but this is the first one that I'm hosting. I'm here with a few fellas I'm well acquainted with and a couple of newbies. Don't mean to put you on the spot like that, but this is my moment of clarity, and it's about the crash of gaming. Has it already arrived, or is it about to happen? Anyway, guys, go ahead and do your introductions.
Hi.
Wow, gangs.
I'll start. I'll start first. Hey guys, Mega Gamer Man back at you once again. Full throttle. Yes. And let's all talk about this because I actually believe it's coming. Conspiracies, mixed with robots. All right, let's go.
All right, then, games. Next up, Gordon.
Hey, I'm Gordon. I'm an active gamer, play on a few different platforms and things, and I've met most of you guys through Google Plus. So yeah, just looking forward to see how this goes and express some views.
All right, and the guy that watches over us all in one sense or another, we got the Good Shepherd. Good
Good,
Shepherd.
good people.
Oh,
It's I, the Good Shepherd. We're here to talk about what's really going on. Hopefully, you guys enjoy.
all right. Last but not least, the one and only King of Logic, Zen.
Well, not last, but certainly not least either. Hey guys, Ninja the Zen Gamer here, back again at you. Gonna talk some gaming crash. Is it happening? Is it real? Are we all crazy? Well, let's find out. If you listen, I'm sure you're gonna learn a thing or two, and maybe you get a laugh. Fairly sure you will.
All right, and Double M, Micah.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say, Ken, what the F? How you going to forget me like that about last but not least? What the hell, man? What is this?
I wasn't looking at my screen, man. Give me a break. It's my first one. I'm gonna make mistakes. I didn't even start it right.
I'll forgive you for you know not what you do. Yes, it's,
Okay,
All
kid
right.
Jesus.
all right, but yes, it's Double M06, disciple from DGC for Gamers. You know what it is. I've been away for a while, but I'm coming back on this podcast, and all I'm going to say right now is it's about to get real.
All right, all right. Well, our first topic, and believe me, folks, there are many. Some I'm still jotting down as we speak. But the first topic, and I don't mean to, corner phrase someone else has, speaks out, no names, but big publishers have been exposed. And what I mean by that is they are basically putting a lot of money on games nowadays, hundreds of millions of dollars, and the games lack even less content than games back in the 16-bit days, yet they're asking us to pay more for them. How do you guys feel about that? And,
All right, I'm gonna jump in on
Michael,
this
since
one.
you have the
Okay.
most to say, yeah, you go first.
All right, this is not. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on these things, but basically it comes down to this. They come up with these unrealistic, lofty goals, and they go way beyond their means. It's a bunch of greed and not proper planning. The whole thing is this: if you're a
Hmm.
big company or conglomerate, you should know, have a general idea of what you need, how much money you need to produce the product you want. And they're just a lot of times they're like, well, we just go over the top, put this money, blah blah blah, and they spend so much money, and they're like, oh shit, now we gotta find a way to cover our losses. All right, make some DLC. All right, we'll bring up the price. We'll add quote unquote bonus content and charge more for it, and all these other nonsense. And it's like, really, guys? I have a lot more to say, but I just wanted to throw that part off so everybody else could jump in.
Of course, just to build from what Shepard just said, um, there are a lot of gamers out here who, no fault of their own, but they weren't around earlier on. They weren't around in what we would call the golden era, where these things were pretty much non-existent or were so few and far in between that finding an example of, bad practices among companies like this, which would lead to supposed crash, as we're here to discuss tonight, would be nigh impossible. However, now it's so thick. There's so many examples. You probably wouldn't even know which one to pick in order to prove your point. But it is definitely there. It is very visible. Um, Back in the day, additional content, as Shepard brought up, there was no such thing as additional content. Yeah, there might be an expansion. An expansion was pretty much a whole nother game, but if there was additional content to be had, it was unlockable, which means it was on the disc, it was in the cartridge, it was there already present in the game. No one had to go pay more money outside of the original asking price, whether that be $59.99, $49.99, $39.99, whatever, you use your imagination. Because once you bought the game, and whatever was on it was yours. It was entirely skill-based, how much of the game you got to see, but it was there. And so long as you had the perseverance, the patience needed, you'd be able to see 100% of the game and get 100% of your purchase money in terms of value back. Now, not so much.
All right. Games, you can go next.
Yeah, just like what he said. Yeah, I'm gonna use that line, but yeah. So basically, all right. Look, I'm 18, right? I've actually been in those golden days. Just not all the way back to the NES era. I wasn't. I say I was just a lonely soul. Okay, but when I got here and around 4, I started playing my first game. Everything was fun. It was great. I played many games. Then I kept growing up, and it just kept getting better. But then it started crashing around for me. It started crashing around when I would say the mid of, or like at least 2 years after PS4. PS3, 360, and Wii came out, because you had these things, and they really did not want fun anymore. They just wanted realism and nice graphics and stuff. And now you have it where people will be willing to pay anything. So it's just like back then, you wanted to try out, let's say, a demo, you had to actually go to E3 or such.
Funko Land.
Yeah,
Funko. Wow, you took it all the way back.
You had to go to many places just to try out these stuff, and then now people try it out. But now we're in the future, where we have to pay for this stuff now. But yep. And now that's where I feel like we're
as beta testers.
Oh, beta testers. Yep, definitely. Beta testers.
We have paid to be beta testers.
Yeah. So it's just for real. Like the time when I was there, starting to play, it was really fun. Now it's just like,
Where's my arcade?
I would say it's really just now people are just taking it as, oh look, demo, I have to try it. Oh, they want $50? Oh, I'm willing. Oh, come on, take it, and they pay for it. And then what does the company image get? Like what kind of image do they have in their head? Oh, they have a guy with a console inserting money into it for a demo to them. So it's for real. It's just the golden age is gone. It's gone.
Indeed.
And for all the listeners out there, one of the prime examples that I could think of in terms of paying for a demo is, we all know it, the new Metal Gear game. Ground Zero, is it called?
Yes, sir.
Ground Zero
$40
hours.
demo.
The
Ground Zero
best
hours.
game in the world.
Well, yeah, I will let Micah pick up from here.
Before I let you go, dude, I just found it really funny that game is named Ground Zero. Think about it.
Ground
about
Zero. 0
Yeah,
hours.
it's where it began. Ground Zero.
Video content.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can say that too. Damn. We could do this all night. But anyway, Micah, go ahead.
I mean, Gordon, you want to say something first? Because my one's going to be quite a while, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, no, you go for it, man. I just was making fun of the name. It was a play on
No, I'm
words.
asking Gordon if he wants to go say something first.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go if you want, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Gordon.
go ahead.
Get
Okay,
it in, my
so-
friend.
So the two main things that probably flag up for me is one that was sort of mentioned earlier to do with kind of reaching too high. So I mean, if they're reaching for the craziest graphics or the craziest physics out there, they've blown their budget before they've made any content. So that kind of comes down to poor planning, which to an extent you could forgive if they learn from it. But the whole kind of hiding content behind a money wall, that's just playing us really, and I can't really agree with that.
Okay. Well,
All right. Well, Micah, if you can, well, forget it. Don't contain yourself. Just go at it.
well, right now the image is selling louder than the performance right now, and right now as well, we're not just getting target. Right now as well, the way it's working is that it's not just target renders in the graphics, it's target renders in the money. These companies, what they're doing, these companies are operating in a very stainless steel corporate manner, and it's whatever sells in the short term, and it's a very Western mentality of doing business, and it's not very effective because they're trying to appeal to a mass of people simply because of the reputation that gaming has gotten in trying to look cool. What people don't understand is that, people talk about, niche markets and stuff like that. People don't understand niche markets are what make up gaming. Gaming is a culture in itself, and within any culture you are always going to have different types of people that have different types of interests. Some people's interests may cross over, so it may seem like one person may have an interest in something, another person may have an interest in something else, but those two same people may have an interest in another thing as well. So I may have an interest in shooters, Zen may have an interest in RPGs, we both may have an interest in adventure games. That's how it works. That is the culture. That is gaming in itself. Gaming in itself has built itself upon niche markets, and that's what a lot of these companies don't seem to realize or understand. They have these stainless steel corporate businessmen involved who set a target and say, we are investing this much money, we need to make this much money, and we will do it by any means necessary. It isn't about the content anymore. It isn't about substance. It isn't about providing an experience to appeal to that core fan base who is going to be behind you now, from back then, and in another 50 years down the line if they're still gaming. At the end of the day, it's about just appealing to the masses, looking cool. What's everyone going to go for? That's why they rinse and repeat Call of Duty. That's why they rinse and repeat a lot of these shooters. That's why they rinse and repeat the same graphic style. That's why they do all of these. That's why they do all of these things. And it is quite sad because it is taking the substance out of gaming. And the people you can't even really blame are not just the publishers, because they're only doing what they feel is going to make them the money. The people to really and truly blame is the gamers. When they say the crash, when you say is a crash imminent or is it already here, in the business sense, yes, I do think it is imminent for a lot of these third-party companies. Not imminent for everyone, but it is imminent for a lot of the third party. I think it is going to be imminent for Microsoft, although I don't think it's going to take Microsoft down in any way because, well, we all know that's Microsoft right there. It's definitely becoming imminent for PlayStation. It's definitely not becoming imminent for companies like Nintendo. It's not becoming imminent for Sega. It's not becoming imminent for Tecmo, Namco, or those companies at all. Now, the problem, and this is where the problem lies. Now, from the perception of the gamers, and I mean the real gamers, not these people trying to be like sports jocks and girls on the cheerleading squad, trying to look cool and trying to be popular and everything, and really and truly they're just doing it to hide behind some kind of insecurity that they may have because of the way people look at certain things socially that they don't want to be a part of because it doesn't make them look cool. I'm talking about the real gamers who appreciate and understand the culture of gaming for what it is and can live in bliss with other gamers and enjoy the same games. You know, with us gamers now, we see beyond that. We see way beyond that. We see beyond the rubbish. We see beyond the nonsense. And for us gamers, in a sense, this crash has kind of in a sense, this crash has kind of already happened because of the mentality that gamers today carry, the mentality that a lot of these companies carry at the end of the day. And that is the problem. And that is the problem right here. That is why a lot of these third-party publishers are going the way they are. They think simply by throwing more money at it, simply by making the graphics look more realistic, simply by putting guns in the game and everything like that, that is going to solve the problem. No, it is not, because as the saying goes, the majority are usually wrong, and that's all it is doing. They are doing the wrong thing, hoping it turns out right. And quite frankly, it's making gaming, it's not making gaming look cool to the people who appreciate and understand what gaming really is. It is actually making it look quite ugly, and it is frustrating because we are trying to go out there and search for good content. We are trying to go out there and share this good content with other people and other fellow gamers alike. And constantly we are having to deal with the media being biased. We are constantly having to deal with people looking down on us. We are constantly having to be in a situation where it is where it's becoming harder and harder to enjoy the games we love without people getting on our backs or getting on the companies who make these games that we enjoy, getting on their backs, trying to force them to say, hey, this isn't the social convention. This isn't what's cool. This isn't what does this. This isn't what does that. This isn't what gets the girls and whatnot. This, that, and everything like that. And quite frankly, it's foolish. It's tiring, and it needs to stop. And honestly, a crash is not such a bad thing, because as they say, the fittest of the fittest shall survive. And if a crash does happen, then at least we know we'll only be left with the best. And that's me done for that point.
Oh well, just to touch on, what you said earlier about, what the problem is or what's causing the problem. I have to absolutely agree. It's not the companies like EA and Activision that constantly rehash titles and live by the microtransaction. It's us as gamers. Now I don't mean like anyone in particular, but you empower a company. We empower a company when we run out and buy every iteration of Call of Duty. When you know a game is a rehash and you run out there and get it and you buy 10 million copies on the first day, the business has no reason to stop doing that. If I was a business and I said, well, I can release some garbage and get 5 million copies sold in a week, I would do it too. I'm sorry if that may sound mean, but we're talking about a business. A business has one goal: to make money. Just like Grand Theft Auto. The great ratings it got out the door, but look at the online mode. It's still, in a sense, kind of lackluster and missing some features that they promised. But if we would have really stopped and said, let's wait, let's not run out there and give this company $1 billion in 3 days. Let's try to give them a reason to, become more innovative, take more risks. Let's let them know we don't want the same thing we got before. They will stop making this stuff. But just like with Ground Zero, if that game would have only sold 100,000 copies, guess what? They will clean up their act, because they would have invested millions of dollars in the game that did not sell. But whenever we as gamers go out there and scoop up the next Call of Duty, Battlefield, or any other shooter out there, every company's making a shooter for some reason. Well, we know what the reason is. It's money. Shooters are popular. We're going to feed into it. Even though we know it's the exact same thing, we can get reviews before the game comes out that say this game is garbage, it's not that good, it's more the same, nothing spectacular, a few added features and guns and skins. What do? We still go out and buy it. Even though the one we have is constantly still being played to this day. So yes, we gamers are the problem. Because if we didn't give businesses our money, they wouldn't keep doing the same thing over and over. They would think of different ways to get our money. They would actually push themselves further.
I agree, and to jump off of that, is the whole concept is this. Plain and simple, we perpetuate the problem by getting into it. If we have a problem with something, why the hell are we spending money on it? Everybody's quick to do this rehash, and we buy it, so they're going to keep making it, like you said. My issue is that there's a lot of good innovative games that come out. We always scream we want innovation, we want new IPs, yet we don't buy it.
Very interesting point.
Prime example is Wonderful 101.
As I was
Exactly.
say, 1-1 is an excellent example of that.
But
No,
then
it's
when
like it's going back to what you said, Shepard. It's like they say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and that's what a lot of gamers are. They're part of the problem.
Yep.
sorry, when you look at it, it's kind of that difference between how things have been. And when gaming started, it was, it was like music. It was like an art form, and the fans that were always looking for something new would
Yes,
always pick up
creativity.
something new and look at it. But now that it's become a mass market and a business, even if the true sort of arty gamers that want to try everything buy those games, there's such a minority that the big companies don't care.
Yep.
That's right.
It's the masses.
And just hypothetically, could you imagine? Let's say, for example, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare that's coming out this November. Let's say no
You mean
one,
Activision's adaptation of Crisis 2?
or, or a video game version of what was that movie with Matt Damon in it?
Oh,
Elysium.
Elysium. Yep.
But basically, let's say that game released in November and it didn't sell a single copy. Cause we know that, I'm not saying copy and pasting is cheap. The marketing itself is still probably costing them tens of millions of dollars. But let's say they invested $100 million in this game, copy and paste, and they didn't sell a single copy. How much you want to bet they take out the next 2 years to make sure they come up with something truly innovative?
No offense, Ken. I know it's a hypothetical situation that you're bringing up there, but because every single Call of Duty game just sells gangbusters, regardless of how rehashed the content is, regardless of what is in it. Um, it's so far-fetched, and I'm far from an unimaginative person. I just can't imagine this game not selling. I'm just saying. You brought it up. I'm just drawing a blank. There's no button to press in case a Call of Duty game doesn't sell, because that situation doesn't exist. So, there's no
Yeah,
button
yeah,
to
But from a
Yeah.
business perspective, like if it did not sell, if you were Activision and your next iteration, your franchise went from making billions to making barely even, $100 million, wouldn't that pretty much convince you to try to change up the formula to do something different?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know what you're trying to say. I'm just saying, if you've never heard of a fire, you wouldn't necessarily create a press in case of fire button, now would you? So the situation doesn't exist. So they are not prepared if this actually does happen.
Yeah,
They
but
probably
just putting it, sorry, as a simpler sort of version of that, just any genre. If all of a sudden, like we had with the whole Guitar Hero things and that, if all of a sudden that genre goes down to selling, a tenth of what it was selling, or next to nothing, then that company will stop making that game and make something else.
Which pisses
exactly.
me off because I
Which
was
is
about to
yeah.
get into Guitar Hero and it just disappeared. What the hell? Sorry.
Which has happened before. Like I said, they have no backup plan. They have no contingency. If Call of Duty tomorrow or November stops selling, they're just going to ignore it, pretend it never existed. They're
Yeah, I
going
mean,
to
if you look at
pack up all their money and say, oh, well, we had a good run. And that'll be the end of it.
games in the past. I mean, Tony Hawk's went on to 6 or 7 games, and now there's nothing in that genre.
And as per the machine, the video game industry machine, as soon as Call of Duty goes down, a new evil will fill its place. Because that's the way it goes.
That
Right.
will most likely be Battlefield.
Something else has to
Well,
fill that void.
Please,
Because it's
Splatoon,
space now.
save us. Sorry.
And whatever that
Actually,
is, it's
segue
going to
into
be
our
loved
next
to
topic.
death. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Now that you mentioned that, just to segue into one of our next topics, what I have, what are you guys' thoughts on these bigger companies simply buying and sitting on talented smaller companies, like when EA bought BioWare during the Mass Effect franchise thing when it was hot, and Microsoft buying Rare? I mean, from
Oh
what I've
man,
seen over the last 10, 15 years, all they've been doing, these talented smaller studios are being purchased and they're not even being used.
you
And it's
see,
just
go
it's
ahead.
killing them. Sorry, I mean, it just as soon as you say that, it brings up sort of older sort of games I was playing, and I remember for me it was a lot of strategy games. So the Command and Conquers with Westwood was a massive game for me. And when EA bought that up, they just made one game and then basically murdered it overnight. Even the voice actors and things for it came out and said we were contracted for like another 8 games and we were just cut off.
Well, I mean, before anyone else goes on, me personally, I mean, I would love to think that some of these big publishers out there are buying them because they want to take advantage, maybe give them a bigger budget. But I honestly think they're doing it just to get rid of their competition.
That's right, because it's more of a defensive purchase than an offensive one. They're not buying it to say, all right, we're going to create all these great games. We're going to use the talent that has been positively leaking out of this studio and take it further. We're going to give them our money and erase their limitations and see what they're going to do then. It's not about that, right? It's about just buying them up and ensuring that no one else can. Because if I'm sitting on the bomb, no one else can arm it. That's pretty much how it is. If I'm sitting right there, you can't get to the control panel. That means no one else can. So it's a defensive purchase. I'm making sure no one else can absorb this talent because, well, it belongs to me. It doesn't even matter whether I use it or not. It just makes sure, it just ensures that no one else can use it against me.
And you know what? A great example of that. I mean, it's a semi-example, but when the 2K series was whooping EA's Madden ass, and then they bought the NFL rights.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, you know what? Well, let's just buy it all up. We eliminate our competition. We ensure that no one can make a better product than us, and pretty much we're going to create a monopoly. We're going to control the entire market. We're going to control pretty much this genre, the brand, everything, because the best is going to be us, whether or not it's actually the best, because it's the only one that exists.
And all EA did in the end was ensure that people will just end up going outside to play football.
But that goes for all the sports
one could
games.
say-
You know, there's no competition in that genre at all.
Which one could say, Mike, is not exactly a bad thing. Gamers do need to exercise,
Nice.
but
EA done something good for once.
no, unintentionally, as we call doing something evil and unintentionally doing something good.
So you have happy accidents, and EA don't do too many good things in life. So it's just let's give
Micah, don't
them,
you dare. Don't you
let's give
dare
them
give
what-
that company a positive mark.
let's give what little credit we can where it's due, even if it was not intentional.
Hey, you know what? If we're talking positive about EA, I like their sports thing. I like the way it starts up. EA Sport. That's the only thing I like about them.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. That's the only thing I like about them. So if you're talking positive, that's just about it from me.
Oh, the only positive I have with EA games right now is that they're not on the Wii U.
Oh, man! You see, the
And
thing
I
is,
would have to agree with that.
the industry is cyclical. It is cyclical. And as I've said 1,000 times before, gamers are the bosses. There's no CEO. There's no president out there. There's no executive that has a higher position in terms of the industry than us, the gamers. Yo, you think I'm crazy? No. It's all cyclical. They probe the market, us, to find out what we want, which at this point in time is shooters. Then they make the shooters. And then they probe us again to find out how much of it we're going to take by releasing iteration after iteration after iteration over and over again, rehashes as you may put it, milking as I would put it. And if we continue to buy, they continue to make. They're asking us questions. They don't ask the CEOs. They don't ask the suits. They don't ask the developers. Who do they ask? Us. When we respond, they respond back and give us exactly what we want. In this case, and as Micah brought up, it's not their fault, really. I mean,
You're giving them the wrong answers, unfortunately.
Exactly. They have a huge part to play in it, sure, I give you that. But it's not their fault. It doesn't begin with them. It begins with us. Take Metal Gear. And I'm going to be using this term very loosely. The legendary designer that he is, Kojima, again, using the term loosely, because I know a lot of people don't like that man. But anyway.
Yourself included.
Myself included. All right. We want more Metal Gear, right? We want more of his stuff. We want to see him create stuff. We want to experience his creations. We want his mind. We want everything, his imagination in front of us. We want to put a controller in our hands. However, when he released that Ground Zeroes game, pretty much it was like an hour of content, and I'm being generous. It was a demo. It was a demo. What did we do? We went on, we bought it. It set a dangerous precedent, but it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Konami's fault. It was our fault. We
You're
started.
right.
It was
Mhm.
our fault. Now we have EA, everyone's favorite company in the world, coming out with coming out with paid demos, right? A lot of people may say that it didn't happen. EA themselves say it was a technical error. I say technical errors don't happen with very precise prices. Technical errors are $59.99. Technical errors are not
Uh,
$4.99.
I mean,
Yeah,
Or
but just to
I'll,
zero.
touch
I'll,
on that, I
I'll
mean,
just say it right now. They've set the stage, but we bought the tickets.
Exactly.
true.
So they tested the water. They put their foot in there. They dipped it in. They wanted to know what the response would be. Turns out the smarter gamers got wind of this before some idiots out there went out and bought a Madden demo or a UFC demo for $4.99. Because I guarantee, I could bet my bottom dollar, my last coin, that if that had taken off, all of a sudden paid demos are the thing because the precedent was set. Okay,
Well,
we
you know,
responded in the wrong manner, and all of a sudden now we have a problem, an epidemic. Where did it start? With us.
well, to touch on that, um, it's already been going on for about 6 or 7 years now. The paid demos,
Yeah,
and let me tell you how. When it comes to Xbox Live, it doesn't require gold to play the demos.
it does. Hmm.
So it's been going on for quite some time. That was a testing
Well,
ground. Ground zero was more of a like a serious test. And what's happening is, as you said, they set the stage. We bought the tickets, and you can bet that every other company's been sitting by watching, thinking like, if this takes off, we have got to run right behind them and do it.
that's right.
And that's what's happening. That we think that we have competing companies such as EA and Activision, when in a sense they're all working together now, but instead of working for us, they're working against us. And let me give you a prime example of that. As y'all touched on earlier, there used to be a lot of variety in gaming,
Hmm.
niche markets. There was RPGs, all types of genres and games everywhere. It wasn't hard to find a single drama, whether it be a fighting game, sports game, whatever it may be. What now? Last generation, the most popular type of game was a shooter. And the generation before that, the most popular type of game was RPG, specifically
Hmm.
JRPGs. What is this new generation about? Open world. They're taking games that don't even belong in the open world and
Zombies.
they're making them open world, such as
No, not open world. No. Empty
Zombies.
world. There's a difference.
Large worlds full of zombies and
Large worlds full of
partially,
nothing.
partially,
you know what?
partially
You're right.
destructible environment.
I will check my statement. You're right because I have seen more zombie games than anything else.
Because open worlds, the words open world, you know what they say to me? They say this is a large world that I can go anywhere and do anything. I can see any building and just enter it, whether or not it is centric to the plot or not, whether or not it has anything to do with the game or not. I can just go in there. There are going to be NPCs in there. They're going to be going about their daily lives. They're going to be doing what they're doing. If I see a laundromat, I'm going to go in there. I'm not going to be faced with a flat wall with a door that can't be opened. Where we have cities that are miles wide, hundreds of miles wide, yet they're like probably under 100 buildings that you can actively go into. And once you go into those buildings, they're empty and have no reason to be there other than just to break things up, to break up the monotony of it all. But that's open world to me. It has never really been a particularly good genre, in my opinion. But it has always been this hype behind it. Now, open world. You want an example of an open world game that worked? Because the game developers, regardless of how smart or how ironic this might be, they understood what open world games are. Empty. Red Dead Redemption. Empty. Because there was nothing in the West. So there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to expect out of it because it's the freaking desert. It's the woods. There's nothing there. Which is why that's one of the best open world games you can think of because there's nothing there. You don't have to, okay, I'm open world. Why can I do this? Why can I do that? Because there's nothing to do.
And
There's
the best way
town
to
to
do a
town.
battle. Yep.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
town to
absolutely.
town. There are the settlements, but they knew that's all that they would have to do in that game, which is why that game is such, is critically acclaimed for other reasons, of course, but it's also one of the reasons it thematically fit with its genre, is because, there wasn't much expectations on it because it's Western. It's a Western game. There's not much you have to do there in order to make it feel like a living, breathing world. You drop a few animals here. You know get the skinning mechanic, the hunting mechanic. Populate your settlements and so forth. Drop in the odd cave. There you go. Open world game.
Well, you know
when
what?
you're talking about, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish off.
Yeah. But when you talk about modern age games, and you're talking about buildings and metropolis, you know, cities, they don't feel alive necessarily because I'm not sure if it's even a power issue, if it's a matter of time or budget, but in order to fully bring a city to life in the manner that they advertise that they can, it might be a bit harder than we may believe, but it just has never happened for me personally. I've never seen a modern age world game that felt like a living, breathing city. Yeah, you could do things, sure. There are a few buildings you go into, sure. You can do a myriad of things, the Grand Theft Autos and the Watch Dogs of the world, but really and truly it just felt as if something was missing. It didn't feel alive. But that's my opinion, purely subjective. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but that's just the way I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
So, I mean, to bring up open world with the whole thing. I mean, that's what they want. That's what we want. I'm trying to say avoid, taking myself out of this. That's what we want. We want open world games, and that's what they're gonna continue to give us.
I don't want it.
You know what? Let me.
You're one guy. You're one guy. You're one guy.
I one guy.
Let me say.
I really want.
Let me say something.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
Like I want a great single player experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something about open world. I don't have nothing wrong. I don't have nothing against open world, just so long as there's a focus on what you have to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But like for instance, I think one of the best games that pulled that off was Xenoblade Chronicles. You could literally explore anywhere within that game, but the focus on the story was still present.
That's right.
And also the upcoming No Man's Sky.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, just to avoid being biased here, Xenoblade is pretty much the same thing as the example I just gave you with Red Dead Redemption. It was for the most part empty, just with animals and creatures running about, which seemed to give it quote unquote life, but it was for the most part empty. The same thing goes for the No Man's Sky. It's for the most part empty, just open fields and animals and creatures and the fauna and the flora of it all, and that they try to create life that way, but those are all examples of things that have been done. We've seen that open world works in that fashion, not necessarily for Grand Theft Auto and those sorts of things, for that kind of open world, that kind of theme, that kind of world.
All I'm saying, if you want a real open world, go outside or go on holiday.
Yes,
No. There's too much.
I can't go outside,
Too much
man.
color outside.
There's too much color
people
outside.
like vampires all of a sudden. They go outside and it's like, the light, it burns.
I can't go outside, man, because it's not 1080p.
I'm very glad that you brought up the color, because there again is something that gamers, we've been asking for. We've been asking for less color. And guess what? They gave us less color. When the games came out, I mean, what were the first generation of games that absolutely lacked color? I need an example, but I can't really come up with one off the top of my head. Can anyone help me there? This absolutely lacks color.
I really can't think of
Okay, I really am gonna contribute to this actually.
What game, man? What game? Give me one.
That doesn't have a color palette.
Like one of the earliest ones, and then from there the trend was set.
Okay.
I can't really think of one.
I
can think of
it
many,
was-
but to see what's first.
But hold on. Besides Pong.
I would say.
Space Invaders? No.
What was that one? That started this whole grayness. I would say the real popularity that really started the grayness is Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls.
That game is gray as frick. I'm sorry, that game is so colorless. It's so boring. It looks like if I was back when the plague started. It was so
oh my god,
bland.
I agree, except for Oblivion. Oblivion brought the color back, but then Skyrim took it away again.
Yeah.
But
But I would say that's what really made the whole blandness really start because that game was popular, and
Right.
then
So
every other game started going
But
with it.
another thing as well. Like for instance, people say they want games with more realism and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm
So
gonna touch with you on that too.
and they buy all these games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But just one question: when you go outside, are you automatically entering a war zone?
Exactly.
No.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Here's a better description. All right, you guys want things to be more realistic, right? Well, I don't know. Can I go outside with a Keyblade and kill Heartless? No. Can I go outside and be a robot and destroy other robot masters? No. Could I
Don't-
go outside and say Fusro Da? Really? Can I go outside?
No,
and do that?
don't say they, say we.
Okay,
Because, yeah.
See, this is what bugs me, and I'm trying to probe for those type of gamers on why. It's like a lot of the new generation of gamers, not all, but a lot of the new generation of gamers, they play games, but they want to play realistic games, and I'm like, if you want to play realistic games, why don't you just go outside and experience real
Yo,
life?
man, you saw that new Madden? Yo, that
like,
new Madden
alright.
looked tight.
Well, learn how to play football. Go join a team. You want to shoot so much, join the
But you know what?
freaking
But
army.
you know what? But you want to know what's the funniest thing when they bring that up? I'm sorry to cut people off.
It's experience things that you cannot possibly experience in real life.
Exactly.
Period.
But you know what really bothers me when people bring that thing up of, oh, but we can't go play with all these football players and LeBron James and all that. I'm just like, well, actually, it's possible. It's actually possible to do that, but it's not possible for me to go to another world. It's actually possible that you can play with these these sports players.
Get embarrassed.
It's possible, but they're like, oh no, it's
Yeah,
not
in real life,
possible.
are you really going to be doing slam dunks against LeBron James? I don't think so.
But you know what? This is touch on a color thing. I have to disagree with you guys because I think those games actually had a lot of color in their game cases.
Nah.
I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, that Xbox Live Green. I mean, that's that's almost pastel.
Yeah,
And
man,
that's
that can
as
camouflage
green
in
as
the
it can get.
grass.
That's right. I mean, all of these negative things that we're speaking of here, they started somewhere. But why did they start? Why did they settle? Why were they established? The simple answer, us. Because
What?
these game developers,
Let
these
it happen.
companies, these corporates, they don't look at the individual 1-2 guys. They say, okay, but that guy doesn't like it, but that guy is neutral, but that guy does. They think of all gamers as one group.
They look at
Gamers.
the sales.
And then they probe us, and then we respond. Whether or not you bought these games, whether or not you were a part of the problem, as Michael would put it, or part of the solution, you were part of it because you would call yourself a gamer. They probed you, and we, as a whole, we responded. We responded negatively, and that's where we are right now. It's all going to culminate eventually.
Well,
and another thing-
It's like in this movie V for Vendetta where V says if you need to look for the guilty, you need only look in the mirror.
That's right. That's right. Oh, beautiful.
True, and I
Lovely
love
movie.
that
Lovely movie. I love it.
I love that movie. It's amazing. It's one of my favorites.
But
That
to,
was-
go,
Let's keep it gaming.
but to go on to the next topic, which you guys did touch on this a few minutes ago, games today compared to they contain less details than the games from previous generations. Like we're starting, they want to tote that this is a next generation of gaming, new things are possible with cloud programming. It's like, but we're getting these big games, big budget AAA titles that are quote unquote next, or let's just say current gen. It's the current gen now, and they don't even have shadows or proper lighting.
I mean, are you referring to global lighting and proper application of such?
Infamous.
Well,
I'm
you know,
not- I would not mention any titles in particular.
Well, if you want to direct your hate, direct it to me. Okay, that's it.
But all I'm saying is, the power of the cloud allows for amazing cardboard cars in Forza 5.
Yo, hey,
I mean,
Microsoft
and you know what's so funny? I remember those things from Sega Rally.
and all of these third parties and their power of the cloud. I mean, come on, really? Jesus.
Did
Look,
Pole Position on Genesis have cardboard cutouts?
I believe so. Yeah.
That game's what, like 20, 30 years old?
Look,
These
listen.
cardboard cutouts are in 1080p.
I was gonna say it's 1080p cardboard cutouts. Come on, people, get
Dude,
with the times.
Dude, no, they're not.
No, it's
I gotta-
it's 980, man.
No,
Oh,
them,
sorry.
no, I'm sorry. Them suckers are probably like 360p when I look at them. They
You
got
see-
jaggies and pixels everywhere. If that game runs in 1080p, 60 frames per second, the crowd is running at 360p, 10 frames a second.
You see, that's a problem.
1080p in the box.
That's a problem. That's a problem. I don't even care about all of those, technical stuff. I mean, yeah, sure, it's cardboard cutout. Yeah, sure, it could have been done better. Yeah, they were boasting about it and completely flopped on that front. But you know what? Just like, character flaws within someone, if you tend to get along with a person well enough, even though you know they have issues, you're generally going to ignore the issues because you enjoy that person's company. Same thing with games.
I was gonna
Right.
say, at the end of the day, did you have fun?
Exactly, and I didn't with the previous Forza game, so I can imagine that I will not have fun with this one. And if I can't even get the best of the visuals, then I can't overlook that. That's going to be very prominent in my mind because there's no fun, there's no factor there.
Where's my blue shell?
Well, the reason I brought this up is because when for example, and anyone that knows me knows I love Nintendo, but I'm a fan of all consoles. But, example one, Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
The levels on Mario Kart are so full of life. If you actually just drive around a level, I don't care if you drive around a level backwards, and you can see Toads cheering, and these are 3D characters, not cardboard cutouts, not 2D, but they're cheering. And then you look at the world itself, the details in the world actually match the theme of the level or the game. You don't see anything that's out of place.
You want to know
But
another
you know
thing?
what? But in Call of Duty, I can be in a desert. I can play in a desert, and I will see a brick from Lowe's on the ground that keeps me from walking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad you brought up Mario Kart there. A good example, good thing to bring my point home with the whole graphical thing. The thing is, this is the reason why I have such a love-hate relationship with Mario Kart 8. I mean, I'm not even sure if some of you would have been there, but yeah, there was recently a bit of an explosion over in my channel. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It took me a while, but I watched it. Yeah, so continue.
I gotta finish that video actually.
Right. I stated my honest opinions, and people were not too happy to hear them.
Well, all I remember is number 20, bombs.
Right. People are not too happy to hear them. You see, I love that game because of what Ken just said. Right. The gameplay also, when it works. But there's a lot to distract you from the flaws in the game, right? There's a lot to distract you. The visuals, everything just fits thematically, things like that. I mean, it's perfect on that front. It's just when you start to ignore that stuff, you start to focus on the gameplay half of thing, that's when the hate part of the love-hate relationship starts kicking in. So there's a mix there, but there's enough for me to tolerate it at least when things are not going right, because then I can just, if I'm sitting there getting hit by weapon after weapon after weapon, I can still look at the pretty visuals because they are in fact pretty. So that would calm me down a bit. But in the case of other games where the visuals are not quite up there, or the theme doesn't quite fit like what Ken said, when the game itself, the core game, doesn't work, there's nothing to distract you from that half of things, so it just seems overall bad. Right?
It just comes down to one thing at the end of the day. It was bad enough that people lack common sense, but now gamers want to lack common sense, not only in 1080p, but also at 60 frames a second.
Are you referring to the Mario Kart thing at 59 frames a second?
No, I'm just referring to the fact that gamers don't have common sense, but they want to have a lack of common sense in high resolutions.
Right. So, it is absolutely crazy. Again, who started all of this? Who started all of these numbers? 60 frames per second, 1080p. Who started all of this?
PC
Simple.
is-
No, not even. No. I don't blame the game. The gamers is not the fault to start it. We perpetuated it though. It started. They were trying to find a way to hype things up. It's like the whole blast process shit with Sega back in the day.
Good, yeah.
True. They tossed out a gimmick,
PC
and we
leaders.
foolishly took it all in.
No, you know what? But I blame me personally. I think the biggest part of the problem are not necessarily gaming companies and not necessarily gamers. Gamers did perpetuate it, but I think it started with basically home theater in general. Because
Mm.
before HD, there was only one thing that was standard definition. It doesn't matter if you had a high-end TV or bigger TV or not. You had the same damn pictures as everybody else. The only difference was yours is more stretched on the bigger screen. And now it's about, oh, you got SD, and you got sub HD, and you got HD, and you got full and true HD, and now you have ultra HD. There's all these iterations of it, and people sell you these things based on, well, this is 1080p, this is what we call full HD. And then, of course, now they're putting on the back of their game boxes that, oh, this supports 720p, 360p, 1080i, all these things. And when you have this, when you buy a television, you buy it to the fact that I got a 1080p television, but guess what? You need the cable to go with it. Just because you buy a game that supports high definition doesn't mean you're going to play games in high def. But we bought into this, and then gamers perpetuated it, and then the gaming media outlets basically just ran with it.
The
Let me
media
tell
is
you something,
coming.
though. Let me
Run,
tell you
run,
something,
son.
though. Shepard, you know, why I blame the gamers as the key part of why this blew up and became what it is today and become such a problem is at that first E3, at that first media briefing, in that first article, when whoever said 60 frames per second 1080p, if everyone's response to that was, why in the blue hell does that matter? And that resounded throughout the entire gaming nation, then we would not be where we are today because
Okay,
then
okay.
immediately the
This
message
is
would be sent.
this
We
is
don't
where
care.
I play devil. I kind of try to defend us. The whole thing
Yeah.
is this: is that we got lured. Because
We
gamers,
did.
you have to remember the original generation of gamers, and including some of the new guys too, is we're always about new stuff, new ways, new everything. So this was new. It was exciting. 1080p. Wow, HD, awesome, bring it. And then we got caught up in this
The word
eternal spiral of, oh my god.
the word you used there, lured. Yeah, it was a trap, and we were lured, but the cage hadn't
Fishing
necessarily
line
snapped shut.
out.
We were lured, and then we stayed there. We
True.
didn't run out.
Can I put out just a small thing that I thought about you guys talking there? One of the key changes that we kind of accepted, I suppose, but that has changed in gaming is that gaming companies used to be the companies that made the games. So game makers sold us games, whereas now it's the tech companies selling us games. Microsoft and Sony are selling us on specs like they have on every other product. They're not trying to
It's
sell us
true.
games.
Sega was a gaming company. Nintendo was a toy maker become game company. These were gaming companies. Now we have these huge corporations that could
And,
kind of
and they
more or
don't
less
think
don't
of
care.
fun.
I never
They're
thought
not
of it that way,
selling
but you're
fun.
absolutely right.
Good point, Gordon.
That's
Excellent
very
point.
Very
good.
good point.
Very
You
good
forgot to
point
mention-
because,
We
well,
forgot to mention that Sony's also selling buildings.
Silence is golden.
That's to take it there, huh?
okay, we're gonna come back to that topic maybe, but on to the next topic. Well, does anyone else have anything to say about the
Yes, I
current
do
topic?
have something to say. I do have something to say about this at the end of the day, because it's just like it's it's terrible because it's like all this graphics and frame rate wars and stuff like that. It's just showing you how shallow things have become. These companies, they're running out of content, they're running out of things to do. Nobody wants to make console exclusives anymore and stuff like that because they're too busy trying to be focused on wanting to make their money because of these stupid ass heavy investments that they're putting into these games that they're not making a return back on. And the only way these gamers know how to fight it out between which console has the best games is to say, well, my version of Call of Duty runs in 1080p rather than 720p. Well, my version of Call of Duty runs on live, blah, 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 this, that. You know what? It's the same freaking game.
Yeah,
Get
who
over
cares?
yourself. Whether you play it in 1080p, whether you play it in 720p, these systems that are out today, there is no excuse for them to produce a bad-looking game. Even the 7th generation systems, there's no excuse for them to make a bad-looking game. Whether it's in 720p, whether it's in 1080p, 540p, 60 frames, 59 frames, 30 frames, who gives a damn? Can you play the game? Yes. Enjoy yourself and stop getting so concerned in all this specs bullcrap because you know what? Half of you gamers don't even understand what it means.
The interesting thing, thinking about that with PC gamers, is almost every single PC plays at a different spec. So they have to all accept they play at different frame rates and different, resolutions because they're going to play to what gear they have.
Exactly, and don't even get me started on PC Elite. Because as a PC gamer myself, I cannot stand PC Elite, but we'll leave that for another time.
Well, you know what? This actually. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, the whole console war and thing, you can even carry it further back. You can just attribute it to human nature, because that is human nature. Humans are built to dominate. Humans are built to win. And so there's always going to be a fight, regardless of what you're fighting over. It could be books. Hell, it could be the weather. It could be anything, right? So long as you, as a human being, find yourself on the winning side, you satisfy your basic nature, your base nature, which is to dominate. Because that's why we were put here, to dominate, to rule. So, the console war, that's just the latest extension, the latest branch in the tree that is the human nature, essentially. We found something to fight about. There's a war to win. There's something to dominate. There's something that we must be the best at. And so we stick ourselves to a corner, and then we try to make that corner the best because that's what we are. We want to make ourselves the best through gaming.
But this is where self-control and common sense comes in to ask the simple question of, what the frick are you fighting for?
You're fighting for dominance. Human nature, it cannot be controlled.
South Park went into a similar thing like that with religion, and they said, what if religion was wiped from the earth and everyone was atheist? Then they would be, well, we're the better atheists, or I'm the such and such atheists.
Exactly.
We would always fight over something.
Always competition.
There's something to fight about, no matter what it is. There's something to fight about, and this time it's gaming.
I do agree with that. We're always going to want to fight over who's more dominant in something and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, there needs to be a substance behind what you're fighting for. And if there isn't a substance behind what you're fighting for, then that just contributes to your own lack of self-control and your own lack of common sense. There's nothing wrong with the human nature of wanting to dominate, wanting to be competitive or anything like that, and it can be done for the benefit of everyone at the end of the day. Like I said before, the problem is people's lack of self-control and people's lack of common sense and no substance in knowing what you're fighting for, and that's what it is in gaming right now. There's nothing wrong if we want to have a little competitive spar over which game we think is better and why we think it's better and stuff like that, or which system we think has the better games. But then when you're comparing two of the same games and you're comparing it based on resolution and stuff like that, and for this I blame the companies, because they're not putting out content where we can actually compare them. They're just bringing out the same stuff across everything. And so all we do have to compare is the graphics, the resolution, and all this nonsense and stuff like that. But then it's up to us as the gamers to have that self-control, to have that common sense and say, hold on, it's the same game. What are we fighting for? And that's the problem. There's no substance behind what we're fighting for. There's no self-control. There's no common sense behind it. And that's what these companies are playing. That's what these companies are playing on right now. They're playing on individuals' lack of self-control, lack of common sense, lack of any form of intelligence about life whatsoever, to just sell us the same trash day in and day out that is the same across every single platform, because they know that the ignorant masses are going to buy into it.
Well,
that's right.
That's actually perfect. Go ahead and finish up.
I was about to say, you're absolutely right. But again, fighting about games, we fight about everything. To this day, there's still Biggie versus Tupac wars. He's the best. To this day. Okay.
But I don't really see much wrong with people deciding who was better, Tupac or Biggie, because regardless of who says whether Tupac's better or Biggie's better, the majority of people will still admit they were both good rappers regardless.
I guess but the problem with that is, regardless of who is better, is going to always be an opinion. No, everyone will never be on the same side of the, when it comes to the opinion, no one will ever believe in the same thing or respond to the same thing in the same exact way. So whether or not one gets 50% vote, the other gets 49, and the 1% is, is they say they're equal. At the end of the day, they were both talented rappers, and some people may not think they were even talented, but at the end of the day, they were both good. They both had a huge following, and let's just admit, you love the music from both of them. So why even argue over which one's better when you've listened to them both? And why
That's
just hate
yeah.
one because he's not worth where you're from, or basically why hate the other because hey, well, you like Tupac, so you just have to by default hate Biggie? No, because I like both of them. I've never said I'm a Crip or a Blood or I like one or the other.
Yeah, yeah, but
And
when we're
again,
sorry, when we're talking specs, it's not like comparing Biggie and Tupac. It's like comparing, say, Biggie on an HD DVD and Biggie on a Blu-ray. Like you're watching the same thing. It's just a slightly different version.
And that'd be
Actually,
perfect segue because the
the
next
point.
topic.
Hang on. One thing. The point I was actually trying to make by that, because we went way into this Biggie versus Tupac thing, is that we can't stop that argument. No way we can stop that argument because gaming is very much relevant to us today and will continue to be so long as it continues to make money for those who seek profit from it. But here we have a whole different thing. This Biggie versus Tupac. Both of these men are dead. Haven't made music in decades, yet people are still arguing about it. What I'm trying to say is, it will never end.
again,
But
again,
No, but no. Here, I'll put something. This is how it goes. If you got two people fighting over something, and you think, oh well, I think this guy, or let's go with the whole Biggie Tupac thing, right? I think Tupac is better than Biggie, right? And then another guy's like, oh, I think Biggie's better than Tupac, and then you're that one guy over there on the side. You're just like, well, I think Tupac is fine, and that's it. So you got to be that kind of person. Yet I know that people are like, how'd you say it? Like
naturally disagreeable.
naturally disagreeing. Yeah, but it's just that's how it is. You really can't change it. And if it does happen to like be like that, then just be like, screw it, and just
And
leave. Like that.
And then
That's
you
just
also
it.
have to,
This
you also have
and
to
this is
factor
where
in the people that overcompensate. Like, say they could only afford one system. So
And
they're stuck with that
unfortunately,
system, so they want to make their system look like the best no matter what.
this
that's
this is
right.
where again this is where self-control and basic common sense comes in. Just agree to disagree.
Unfortunately, again, based
Yeah,
on a
just
few
But
things,
hold on, but
can't
not,
agree to disagree.
hold on, but not even that. Even though we're naturally competitive, I mean, just agree to like what you like and play your game.
yeah, and that's the
You don't
thing.
have to
You
go
just
so
go.
far. You don't have to convince someone else to have the exact same belief to the exact same intensity, the exact same way as you do. If you love Sony and to you Sony can do no wrong, I mean, no matter how much facts are stacked in front of you, fine. I don't hate you. I'm not gonna call you out of your name. I'm not gonna feel any kind of way against you. I'm just gonna look at you and be like, okay, you like Sony. I like Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. I'm going to play out three of them. But if you want to stick to one, that is your personal choice, and I'll be damned if I give a shit.
Well, that's
Sorry.
the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, what you need to agree on is that you made the best decision for you, and that somebody else made the best decision for them. You
For them.
can't
Yep.
force your
Exactly.
opinion on
Just
them.
like
That's
that
all it is. That's seriously all it is. You just be like, okay, I like this. Screw everybody else. That's just how it
Now,
is.
Not quite
But
sure
you know-
everybody
you know-
else.
Just to go back to
said
Mike's
that you
point.
like this and they like that, and that's it.
No,
You see,
no, that's
I would very well love to be, a citizen, just to play devil's advocate. I would very well love to be a citizen in this ideal world of you guys, where everybody is just honky dory, flowers, rainbows, and roses. But unfortunately,
no. The thing I said
Oh, we're
is
not
that
naive.
that should be what that should be what that the thing is if you're like that and you're like, oh no, this is better, and you want to be that way, be that way. That's how it is.
You know,
I'm not trying to say some kind of forced thing to people.
of course,
I'm just
of course,
saying,
I know.
if you want to do it, if you want to do it.
I mean, if you
Um,
take it to a sort of a slightly simpler thing, just to kind of put the absolute basics out there, right? So if I bought a printer and all I need is a black and white printer, and somebody else goes out there and buys a printer, combi, scanner, fax machine, whatever, because they're running a business, do I turn around and go, no, my printer is better than yours because mine does X, Y, and Z speeds or something?
Yeah,
No, I'm just happy that
You
mine
know what?
provides
that's the
my
thing.
function and theirs does theirs.
No, I'm just
unfortunately,
gonna I'm
Exactly.
just gonna jump in on this one quickly.
mm,
I'm gonna, as much as I played a bit of devil's advocate here, I'm gonna follow up on what Zen said, and in all honest, realistic truth,
mhm.
I 100% agree with Zen, because at the end of the day, Martin Luther King said it best when he said, we can't, we still can't be disagreeable without being violently disagreeable at the end of
Mhm.
the day. And every human being has the basic instinct. We're social creatures at the end of the day, and every human being has the basic need and instinct to want to be to want to feel wanted, to want to feel important, and everything, and so on and so forth. And no matter how much you try, we as humans, we're all going to have some level of insecurity somewhere, somehow, or whatnot. And due to, as I said before, lack of self-control, lack of common sense, you know, we will always feel the need to, as Zen said, want to dominate, want to overpower, want to be on that center stage where what we say goes at the end of the day, where we want everyone to embrace what we embrace at the end of the day. And it all boils down to a case of we as individual human beings, if we have to embrace what we love on our own, then that's just a fate we have to accept. So be it. That's just the life we have to live if we choose
And
to live it at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, like Zen says, we don't live in this perfect ideal world, and not everyone thinks not everyone thinks on a level-headed playing field like we in this podcast do at the end of the day. And in all honesty, it's the majority of people in the world that don't think like how we generally tend to think, and because of that, we're always going to experience these problems day in, day out. It is never going to die. All that can happen is that the fittest of the fittest will survive through it all, and then we get to a point where it becomes the majority of us in that state as opposed to being the minority. But then again, it will still eventually get to that point where the cycle will go around again, and it becomes the majority they become the majority again, and we become the minority. So it's not something that we can necessarily escape. We can choose to live outside of it individually, as they say in Xenoblade, living outside the passage of fate and all that stuff. We can choose to live outside of it individually, but the majority of people who do not have that strength within their mind, the majority of people that are in the world who do not have that strength within their mind will not know how to live outside of it. So, by their own limitations that they've set for themselves, they'll always be restricted to those boundaries, and that's just how things will continue to go on. The only thing we can really and truly do is, do what's in the best interest for ourselves and live the best way we can live, even if we have to do it alone. There's, like Lauryn Hill said in the song, if I have to die alone, that's how I choose to live. So that's just how that's just how life is at the end of the day. All we can do is be thankful and be grateful that we're all here we're all level-headed people, we're all having a level-headed discussion, and we can all live in the bliss and share, though, in terms of gaming, we can all live in bliss and share those same experience with each other without having to be aggressively disagreeable about it, whereas others can't. So, all we can really do is be thankful for that and just enjoy life the best way we can.
And to perfectly cap off that point, end the topic or whatever, but just to add on to what Micah just said, the fact that we're able to have this conversation, see it from all angles, some playing devil's advocate, some supporting others, disagreeing with others, level-headed as he said, the fact that that's not human nature in a whole. Human nature is to win. That's human nature. Does that make us transcendent? Did we transcend human nature?
I like to think it makes us
Good
godlike.
question.
I'm
all
not
you can
joking when
do
I
is-
say that. I like to think it actually makes us godlike.
Because
I mean,
if you take a lion, you teach him the words of man, you give him the knowledge of man, he's still going to be aggressive because that's what a lion is. So, I mean, he can't transcend his nature. He can't just all of a sudden become passive because that's not what lions are. So, I find it very funny that somehow, I'm not saying we're godly, stop it. You church fanatics, stop it. I'm not
Hey, I've
saying.
seen Madagascar. It was a good movie.
Right, well, yeah, well, he wasn't a lion though. He was.
Well,
He was something-
this is what, in my opinion, really and truly is the meaning of human evolution, or the cutting edge of human evolution. It's all in the mind at the end of the day, and this is what I
That's
think
right.
it really is.
That's
All
right.
you
That's
can-
right. I mean,
all you-
we're
you
able
know,
to look past it, yeah, and just have a simple discussion. But go ahead, Gordon.
Sorry, yeah, just to touch on your whole sort of lion training thing. The all you can do at the end of the day, if you look at the bigger picture, is to lead by example in the way that you kind of hold your conversations, and you guys obviously YouTube channels and things as well. If everybody kind of shows a level head, then that kind of leads by example. That's what we want to do going forward. If the people who, like you guys, want to kind of keep things level-headed, jump in and get in the whole kind of aggravation and fighting of it all, then that's when we let it all kind of go to pot.
You know
Right.
what? I don't mean to get off topic with this, even though we've been off topic for a while. But
Gotta love these philosophical
yeah,
conversations.
but you're right. But you know what? This is very touching. I'm not really crying, but this last 10, 20 minutes has actually felt like an opening invitation for gamers at large.
In
If
a
you think
sense,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
I mean,
right.
it really
This
has.
brings the whole concept of what gamers at large is all about.
Right. Yeah.
You see, this is how it is. This is how it is. Who cares what people say? At the end of the day,
This
whatever
game
you like,
to end.
exactly. As I always say, remember,
And
don't
quit
lose your
pushing-
way.
Oh, sorry.
Remember, don't lose your way. You see, don't lose your way. That's what it means. Don't
Your,
be
as-
afraid about
see-
all these things.
But see, my way
Just-
has 1080p.
Just
my way has 980p, 55
You
frames.
see, games, man, games. That was an excellent way to bring in your own, your motto there. But
You sold yourself, mate.
Still shameless plug, man. Shameless plugs.
But to segue off of that,
no, I'm not putting it like that. It was just
But I just,
Yeah, I know.
I just want to add, before everyone continues, I just want to add one little point, and I'm going to finish off there. It's just like, I know we're all looking to try and change things and stuff like that, and that's good from our point of view and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be down to the individuals. And going back to what we were doing, where we were talking about Biggie and Tupac, Biggie himself said it: you can't change the world unless you change yourself.
That's
Yep.
right.
true.
Yep.
Well, the next topic, believe it or not, it is about differences. But it relates to gaming, of course. And it's really, really short. Well, not the topic itself is short, but exclusive DLC. And what I mean by exclusive, I mean it's gotten way out of hand. It used to be back in the days, and I'm pretty sure a few of you guys on here can remember, that when a third-party company released a game for both consoles, I'll give you an example, Super Nintendo and Genesis, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. They were completely different games. The only thing they had in common were some characters and the fact it was a fighting game, but they played completely different. Nowadays, you have DLC that you have the brick and mortar stores, even the online retailers offer you something exclusive in the game, and it's not even a game changer. Like, for example, Watch Dogs. PlayStation has this whole thing of saying if you want the true next-gen Watch Dogs experience, buy for PlayStation 4 because you get an hour DLC. So
Despite
you
the
give
fact
me
that it's also on PlayStation 3 as well, but carry on.
yeah, you're right, but even still, it's like, okay, so you give me an hour of exclusive DLC, which is basically a few cutscenes and a few missions that do not affect the overall story of the game. You can just go ahead and call them side quests. Because that's what they are. They don't affect the game at all. It ain't like if you do all of that, if you complete the whole DLC, that it's going to change the ending of the game because it doesn't. But it's gotten
Except,
out of hand. And
except
games,
it was,
you can go first on it.
Oh, sorry, Gordon wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm
no,
sorry. Go ahead, Gordon.
so it's sorry, just a quick thing that um, for me, if it was made alongside the game, it's part of the game whether you want to play it or not. So from my point of view, it should be on every console. I don't understand why they would lock that down.
That is right. I mean,
Cash rules
what
everything
Gordon said
around
is
me.
absolutely correct. That kind of stuff, personally, I can't speak for the rest of the gentlemen here, but that sends me crazy. Okay? Because then, as a consumer, I have to choose where I want to buy this thing, what content is more important to me. I gotta find out what content it is, which sometimes isn't always the easiest task in the world. But the fact of the matter remains, all of this content was done and ready to go before the launch of the game. Then why the hell is it not in the base game?
Well, see, just to touch on that though, Zen, the reason why I think this is a big thing and contributing to the so-called crash is, like I said, it used to be which version did you want? Did you want the version for this console or for this console? Because they were vastly different. Then it went to, do you want the DLC for this? What this version offers on this console or the other? Like for example, Soul Calibur, I think it was 3 or 4, when one of them had Darth Vader, the other had Yoda.
Right.
Like that. I mean, that was minor, but even still, what if I wanted all three? I had to own 3 different damn consoles. And
That's
now
right.
we have to choose we have to choose not only a console but a retailer if we want everything. Like I read some article that Watch Dogs actually had. If you want to get all the content the game had to offer, you had to spend over $1,000.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. That should never be asked of any consumer out there because, again, as Ken said, what if I want to play it all? I believe, is it GameStop that's doing some nonsense now?
I believe Lego games have had a lockdown like that before in shops.
Right, where they have exclusive DLC for GameStop.
Or the DLC with the figurine or whatever it may be.
That's right. Then Amazon might have some different. Toys R Us might have some different.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Digital might have something additional that none of the other three are willing to give to you. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is stupid that these are incentives, which is why I say, and I've said it before, okay, sure, you want to give people incentives to buy the game. Nothing is wrong with with that. Nothing is wrong with wanting that. The way you go about it, however, is completely botched. Now, I would much prefer you give physical swag. You give physical things. Maybe a statue here, or a button there, or a soundtrack there. That's more along the lines because, we're not talking about content in the game.
You mean like Hyrule Warriors in Japan?
Yeah, but don't get me started. You won't get me started.
Okay. Forget I said that. Continue.
That by itself is a piss factory. But anyway, it's ridiculous. Okay, because even though you might get this one consumer out there who will want the statue, the soundtrack, and the buttons or patch or whatever, it's still different. It's still different in that each of these consumers, regardless of whichever they prefer, they're getting the whole game, the whole experience. They're not missing things here or there because they didn't go to the right retailer. That you wouldn't believe how stupid that sounds to me. Oh well, I went to GameStop, so I don't get to play that portion of the game. Wait, what? No, that is nonsense.
But that brings up a scenario. Like, how sometimes we can be years ago we can be playing a game, 2 friends can play a game, in separate locations, and you can relate to the game. You can ask questions like, "What did you do when you got to this part?" But nowadays it's like you can play a mission and then say, "Oh yeah, did you do this mission?" It's like, what mission? I never did a mission. It's like, well,
Exactly.
where'd you buy your game from? I got it from GameStop, or I got mine from Best Buy. It's like, so they're making the games now so vastly different in the dumbest way that now you can't even relate when you want to give somebody a tip. Because the one thing you're having trouble with could actually be exclusive damn DLC.
You know what fears me? What they're gonna do next is that they're gonna oh my god! And if they ever do this, all right, this just came to my mind because I did see the article about this of them doing that. Even though this has been going on for actually 5 years now.
It has been going on for a while.
Yeah. So now I like how now all of a sudden they get to it, but if they do where now not only can you get your DLC from this specific store, now you can get your own version from this specific store. So if they have it where, all right, because I'm in Jersey, all right, I'm in Jersey,
Joyzy,
right?
Joyzy, man, Joyzy.
All right, so
Represent us correct.
we barely have WalMarts around here, right?
Okay.
So I'm just gonna
Too
say,
good for Walmart or something.
Lies.
no.
There's a Walmart 10 minute, 25, 30. Damn, you're right. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, there's barely WalMarts around here. When I went to Florida, holy God, there was a Walmart next to a Walmart. But if over here, if they make it till that, and they make it where, now if you want the PS4 version, you have to go to Walmart with this additional content. I'm just like, what? Because I'm fearing that gives me a fear of what they're doing right now, or what they've been doing, is going to happen like that. Now you get this specific version at this store, or this store.
Well, hold on, games. I hate to. You and Zen are gonna be so pissed off when I say this, but that has already happened. And guess what game it happened with? Mario Kart Nintendo World.
Mario Kart Nintendo World. What?
Oh well, that
what?
would not.
Digital content? Really?
Oh, you're talking about the blue shell. The blue shell.
Yeah, the blue shell and the special edition that you can buy. Yes, that.
No,
and the-
No.
but
But
the
you see,
thing
that's
I'm
fine.
talking
That's
about-
exactly what I'm saying.
No,
That's
but
different. That's more
this is
like
what I'm talking
a
about.
edition.
Before you get confused or anything, this is what I'm talking about. Is the different versions, a version of a game, PS4, Xbox, Wii U, etc. Right? The versions of the games. They make PC only exclusive to GameStop, right? The
Yeah.
PC version only exclusive there, and in order to get the PS4 version, you need the Sears one. The whole thing that they had with the Nintendo World thing, that's different. That's a pre-order. That's like a
I
special.
see what you mean. I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
I'm talking about like different versions of the game. PS4, Xbox, whatever. Whatever console you want.
You can only get the game for a particular platform at a particular retailer.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Kind of like how GameStop had it to where you can only buy Xenoblade Chronicles at GameStop.
Oh, basically right now. Oh my God, you actually reminded me. Oh my God, no. My fear is coming true.
Now, here's the thing, though. With all of these additional pieces of the game that these retailers are, asking you buy the game in their store, you know what sends me crazy? I mean, if that was the way it was, okay, yeah, that's not right. I don't agree with it. It pisses me off, but I'm still going to be forced to choose one or the other, and I'd be fine with that. I get my little piece of DLC that only person who shopped at my store get, and I'll be cool. They spit in my eye, even worse. And they say, oh yeah, well, you didn't get the other 3 portions of the game. You got the 1 portion of the game because you shopped at Amazon. But oh yeah, we forgot to tell you, 6 months down the line, we have this Ultimate Edition where you get everything. That pisses me off.
Oh, yes.
See,
I
that's
agree.
why.
I got the worst example for that, and I'm pretty sure you guys are not even going to think about this, but
I bet I already
Microsoft shitted on their fans when they did this. Who remembers Forza 3?
Oh.
Remember those
Oh,
card
God.
packs costing $5 and $10, and then I think it was like 6 to 9 months later. Now there was at least 10 card packs. There really was. So the game is $60. Each card pack was $5. There was at least 10 card packs, and then like 6 to 9 months later, they released the Forza 3 Ultimate for $30, and it had all DLC included.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
would've
mean,
been
so some people had
furious.
already spent $110 plus getting the game and all its content, and then they released a version that was $30 that had it all.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, hey, you shouldn't even get me started. This is ridiculous.
And then also
It's
Titanfall, the
utterly
Titanfall
ridiculous.
bundle, the same thing. People lined up to buy Xbox One day one, and that game was not ready at launch. And then when Titanfall comes out, get Titanfall free when you buy an Xbox One. Well, hold on, I supported you from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
you mean
right.
to tell me this newbie that hasn't even owned any of your last console gets that game for free? Yeah.
Not to
yeah.
take you off a point here, to carry it a little bit to the hardware side, again with the Xbox One, tell that to the 3 point something some odd million Xbox One owners who are now stuck with a Connect that everyone who buys one now
yeah.
doesn't have to, own.
Unless they give them like $100 in their
Which
marketplace
they didn't.
account.
They
Yeah,
don't. They don't
that's
come
so bad.
I mean,
true,
so
but it's gotten to me. DLC has gotten so far out of hand, and what really pissed me off for the first time, I've never really cared too much about DLC. The only DLC I really purchased was from Call of Duty One. I mean, Modern Warfare One, Modern Warfare Two, and I think I purchased the first DLC for Black Ops. But after that, I mean, I knew I didn't care anymore. I mean, it wasn't really worth it. But what pissed me off was they had DLC on a fucking RPG. You know the one I'm talking about.
DLC and RP. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 13. You
Yep.
had to buy the DLC to see the complete story and
13 too, not 13.
well, 13. Even still, but why would you do that? You mean to tell me after I spent $65 on a game, which I love RPGs, I love JRPGs. I mean, I love them. It's my favorite genre of game to play. But I now have to pay you an additional $10 to $15 to get the rest of the story. Final Fantasy VII was 3 damn discs.
But here's the thing: there is a
Final
dividing
Fantasy
line
13
here.
does not exist to me. I don't know why you're speaking about this fictional topic.
Well, Shepard, we're gonna have a talk about that all this Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
we're
13
gonna-
thing, but
yeah,
we're gonna
we're
wait
gonna-
for
we're
that
gonna have a
after
talk.
off air, yeah. But
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna say, you too, Ken. I'm
Bad
gonna have
man,
to talk to you.
bad man, no take no chat. You understand? Oshimo.
Alright, Batman. So here's the thing:
Aside.
there's a dividing line between DLC well done and DLC just bad. Okay, I don't mind paying additional money for more story or more gameplay. Here's the difference, though: the amount of it. I don't want, to pay $5 and then you tell me the DLC that I just bought is me to go fight a monster that was for some reason not included in the game, but the DLC came out 2 days after the game launched. No. I'm not talking about that. That's DLC done bad. DLC done good. You tell me I gotta pay another $14.99, another $15, and then I get nigh upon half of what the original game had in terms of content. An example of this done
Grand Theft Auto
well.
4.
Well, yeah. You got a whole other city, but I was about to bring up Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, where you got pretty much a whole different continent that you could explore with its own storyline, contained from the original. And there were missions upon missions there. There was everything. It even had its own flora and fauna, and some of the assets looked as if it was created especially for the DLC. So it wasn't any just rehash, or maybe it was unused assets. I don't know. But the fact of the matter remains is that I got my money's worth. That's the major differential. That's the major difference. That's the dividing line between DLC done bad and DLC done good. So don't, because I've spoken to people. I've spoken to people, and I've expressed my concerns about DLC and where it is, where it may be going in the future. Again, persons who are unable to see things objectively, they tell me, you think DLC is the devil. If you finish the game, you put the game down. There's no more reason to keep that game. Shut up. Listen to what I'm saying.
And actually,
Listen to what I'm saying.
Ken,
Sorry, can I enter a point in there to do with sort of maybe a bit of the other side? We've mentioned a few things to do with sort of negative sides of DLC and things, but getting to the sort of root of the selling points, selling it in a specific store, or that console having its own thing. From a positive side, when you look at the way that it's been done on the last half a dozen or so Wii U games, on Nintendo's own games, you've had free content, sort of demos of their added content on the likes of Pikmin, to kind of teaser you into it, and then it's reasonably priced to then get on there. And then if you look at the third-party sort of titles, you've got Nintendo characters in Tekken, or Nintendo characters added into Sonic, where you get that as free DLC to have on that console. So if Sony or Microsoft want to have sort of things, why not use, Microsoft could use Rare's IPs and throw a random level into a game and use that as enticement rather than, ripping content out to do it.
I'm very glad.
Well, see, hold on. Why do that when they can just say, "Oh, we got a season pass that'll get you the next 10 skins for $30."
I'm just saying Nintendo do it well, So
Yeah, they do,
one
they
of the
do.
three is actually, trying something that actually adds content, which is kind of cool.
They've been
this
would be
responsible
nice.
with
done
You see,
DLC.
this would be
Not as a
this,
cash grab, but as expanded content and experience, DLC is beautiful. But if you're just using it as a cash grab, no.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you know,
you
I'm
see,
sorry.
that's
this is an
perfect
example.
because
This is an example with Destiny. Let's just say, right? Okay,
Mhm.
let's say if Destiny does shut up. All right. I know. But if Destiny, all right, this is like such mythical like fairy tales, but if it does come to Wii U, right? They can make it's like this. It's just like what they did with Tekken, what they did with everything. Watch as they could make it with a Metroid. You can
Hey.
play as Samus.
no,
Games,
because you know
games.
why? They be adding color to the game, man. That would
Wait,
even
wait, 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 listen.
Actually, the game is actually quite colorful.
Games, let me ask you a question, man.
They could
This-
have the white version.
I need to ask you a serious question right now, okay?
Yes.
And I need a yes or no answer.
Yes.
All right, good.
Am
Do
I
you
dumb?
believe Do you believe Destiny will have properly executed DLC? Yes or no?
No, because
Yes or no?
hey, I gotta tell you because that's the only way I end it.
no.
All right.
Just,
Hang on. Now I need an answer based on knowledge. Who is Destiny published by?
Activision, I know.
I'm done. That's it. That's all I needed to say.
great point. But you know what though? To go into segue to the next topic, which it really does connect to this one. I truly believe that, as Shepard said, DLC, when used properly, can truly extend the life of a game. Where a game that had a 15-hour, experience could go on to last, 45, 100 hours if done properly. But I overall think the way it's been executed has killed gaming. Because here's why. My earliest memories of DLC was like with Guitar Hero and Rock Band, they added new songs. That made sense because it is a game about music and people want to have different tracks. They want to try on different songs. It made perfect sense. I didn't know the exact price, but it made sense. And even the Grand Theft Auto DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4, that made sense. Those two packs basically gave you a whole new Grand Theft Auto to play. It really did. And it wasn't that expensive. But when I'm paying you, let's say Forza 3, for example, when I'm paying you $50 to get extra cars, and then I have to turn around and earn the money to buy those cars in the game,
Mm-hmm.
what the am I paying you for? I'm paying you for the right to use those cars. So basically, I'm paying you to unlock the door, but behind that door is a cash bar, which I got to earn in-game credits to still use that car anyway. So I can pay you $10 now to buy a car pack, and guess what? I can't even play as that car unless I race and earn more money. So that doesn't make any sense.
Micah?
What in the world?
Mike, are you sleeping, man?
If he's snoring like that, I'm pretty sure he is.
Someone's
Oh
out.
my God, he's actually sleeping. Yeah, just do that.
Wow.
Thank you, Zed. Oh man.
Hey, in his pitiful defense, it's like, what, 4 o'clock where he's at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is really late.
It's 3 o'clock over here.
Oh, 3 o'clock, sorry.
Okay, 3.
I
Yeah,
mean, but off of that, I think DLC has overall ruined gaming because now we don't even get full games. I understand back in the day with Genesis, Super Nintendo, when the developers would have ideas that they couldn't implement because they had a certain deadline that they get the game out. So then we got another iteration, aka Capcom releasing Street Fighter 2 and then 2 Turbo. They had a few ideas they couldn't squeeze in. At least that's what they probably claimed. This may not be true, but you get my point. But nowadays, we have day one DLC. In the case of Watch Dogs, wasn't the DLC finished before the game was?
yes, it was.
So why are you charging me for something that you finished before the damn game hit the printing press?
Exactly.
Well, that's what we were saying to begin with. Yeah, exactly. If it was created in the time it took to make the game, it should be in the game for everyone.
That's right. Timing with DLC is a huge.
Oh yeah, that pisses me off. Oh, you just got me. I just had to process it through my head. Jesus. All right. Now the thing is, that really pisses. All right.
Games.
Huh?
Before you continue, man.
Yes.
Love you like a brother. No disrespect, but put the meth down.
No. Trust me. This just gets to me. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. All right, and I have a problem with DLC. Okay,
I
I've been
know, I
having
can
this.
tell.
Yeah, I've been having this problem with DLC for a couple of years. Um, yeah, you guys, I don't get when they say, okay, and this is actually Watch Dogs is not the first game to do this. There was actually multiple games. I just forgot. EA, yes, of course, Mass Effect. But you have the DLC, right? It's you guys were aiming for a November launch, right? But then you guys were like, "Oh wait, no, we need to work on the game a little bit more," which there was no reason to. But either way, they did it. Then they said around February that, "Oh, we have the DLC done. You know, it's all done. It's perfect. It's ready to go." Now it's like, but you still have to pay for it when the game comes out. So what they're telling me is, sorry for the phone in the background, but what they're telling me is that you have the DLC finished, but you won't put that in the game. So I have to pay. I don't know how much the DLC is going to be, like probably $15. I don't know, but you're telling me I'm going to have to pay an extra $15 just to play this portion of the game that you guys were done with when you guys were still developing Watch Dogs. Are you kidding me? Like
Well,
that's just
well,
what
see,
gets me.
my DLC may stand for some people. It stands for downloadable content. For me, it stands for something totally different. You want to know what that is? I've said this on a past podcast. Deliberately left out content.
Ah,
You
yes.
deliberately took something out of a game or left it out in order to tell me to have the full game. I'll have to pay for the rest of it. The way I feel, if I don't have a full game, you shouldn't charge me full price. Because when the PS1 was around, those games were $49.99. That was the maximum price, and I got the entire game. Games like Rival Schools were 2 discs. One disc had all the mini games, the other disc had the fighting game. It was a complete package. There wasn't a Rival Schools 2 shortly on the way after that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, okay, well, like I can't, like this really pissed people off. I've been reading articles about this, but like, it's 2 games in particular. Soul Calibur, I think it was Soul Calibur 5. They had released the DLC a day before the game came out, and it was on disc DLC, and they were
Mm-hmm.
charging for it. And in the case of Capcom, do you know they want to charge $5 per extra character? I think it was like for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I was like,
Yeah,
I was
that
like, hold on.
ridiculous.
I'm like, hold on. First of all, you charged me for a character you had in the past game. Second, the game just came out. How the hell are you gonna leave out 2 characters and charge me $5 for each one? I don't even play as that character.
Mm-hmm. That's what they do, man. That's what they do. It's true. It is a very thin line. It's really unfortunate when companies decide to go the other way. But as gamers, we need to send a message loud and clear that this shit is not cool, and we don't we're not gonna accept this. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen because the DLC sells, and that opens the door for more DLC using the similar practices on different games. And after a point, it's just gonna get worse. It's just never gonna end
And you know what else
because.
is funny about that though, man? I'm sorry to cut you
Mhm.
off, but the gamers don't realize that DLC, and in some genres, it actually gives you less options. Like for me, for example, and it took me a while to find this out, but I did start to notice on the last couple iterations. But do you know when you buy the map packs for Call of Duty and Battlefield, but when the game comes out and there's no DLC, well, you basically being dumped into lobbies with every single
Mm.
player that has the game.
I
But
know
when
where
you
you're
buy
going.
DLC, you are only allowed to play with other people that have the DLC, and not everybody buys it. People think that, oh, well, Call of Duty sold 20 million copies. I'm pretty sure at least 10 are gonna get the DLC. No, it's actually more like maybe 2 or 3 million people that make it the DLC within the
Okay,
first, year.
I have a perfect example for this. Assassin's Creed, was it Brotherhood or Revelations? I can't even remember which one it was, but one of them that had multiplayer. So I bought the DLC like a true sucker. I paid my money, dumped it down, got the DLC, Xbox 360 by the way, and I went into one of these maps. You got the choice to select which set of maps you want to look for a game in. So I do that. It wasn't particularly late at night. It was, fairly early, maybe around nowish, and the voice that tells you the status of the matchmaking, right? The female voice, searching for other players, for like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's
It
annoying.
was only then I realized, you idiots, Zen. No one else bought this. Yep.
Nobody else. That's crazy because, and I've even had this problem with friends I play with online. Like if I have the DLC, let's say it's a crew of like 6 of us, and I have the DLC along with 2 or 3 others. If one of the levels that gets picked that we're gonna play on is on part of the DLC, it'll actually leave us all in the lobby, and then once the countdown time reaches 0, it'll kick out the other 2 players. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, oh yeah, I don't have the DLC. I said, but that is completely stupid. Yet here we got Nintendo with the 3DS that says, you know what, you can play Luigi's Ghost Matcher online while only having one damn cartridge. And the other
Right,
folks
yeah.
don't even need a cartridge. They just have to be, within the vicinity, like, 5 or 10 feet. But they can all play with you, and only you have the game. I'm like, but yet you want to cut me off from the rest of the world when I purchase your DLC. So now instead of having, 20 million lobbies to choose from, I'm down to 500 lobbies. And most of the time, those people don't even have good connections, or they're not close enough to even have a good game. So it's just, to me, it has really killed gaming because we've gone from getting a game chock full of content each and every time to now the best you can even hope for with most games is about 50% of the content they plan to make in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception is Nintendo. When they made 3D World, playing that game, I realized that they put a lot of content in this game. When I played Pikmin, I realized that, like, damn, I mean, I don't have to even play anything else but outside. I haven't even really played the multiplayer yet, but it's chock full of content. But when I cut on Final Fantasy, I go through the story and I'm trying to complete everything. I have to be told that, oh, if I want this costume, if I want this part of the story, or to see what happens to Lightning in the end, I gotta drop $15.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Absolutely
that
ridiculous.
is an insult for someone who's loved Final Fantasy and playing it pretty much from the very beginning. That's a slap in the face.
And let's not forget the worst kind of DLC. And Tekken Tag Tournament 2 is a prime example. But the online code,
Online code.
the online passcode you need for the PS3 and Xbox,
You mean
but Wii was free.
goddamn, what do they actually call those? There's an actual name.
Online
It's
Pass.
Online Pass, right. There we are. Mhm.
And that's just to play just against another player online. So let me get this straight. You basically have built a game designed to inspire you to be competitive, and most of the time we don't live next to a Tekken player. Most of the time we don't. They're found online all across the world. But you're telling me that I either have to buy the game brand new, which is $60, or I buy it used from GameStop for $55 and have to pay $10 more to get the damn online pass.
At that point, you might as well just buy it new.
Exactly, but my thing is, why are you charging me for a feature that you basically have given away for free over the last decade? Even when we did have online, I don't remember the first Tekken Tag requiring that.
Well, as we're talking about online and bad practices with online, we might as well just delve into this because I have a feeling we're gonna get there anyway.
Okay, yeah.
When you make a game that has a significant online portion, we're talking maybe 50, perhaps more percent of the game is designed to be played online, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, a decade down the line, however long it takes, doesn't matter. Sometimes it's a year or maybe 2. You switch off the servers, pretty much rendering that game useless. Now, if you're thinking I'm on some bullshit right now,
Titanfall.
there you go. For those of you listening, if you got Titanfall, pray and hope EA never takes those servers off because then you have a disc that don't work. So,
Just one more thing on the whole sort of codes to get things. I was noticing with a lot of games recently as well. If you buy a game that's like a special edition or whatever, the special edition content isn't on the disc. It's accessed via a code on a piece of paper. So, say you bought, like I did, the Devil's Six version of the Sonic game, even on the Wii U. You know, you get that content code that you use, and if you were to sell that game or someone else was to buy it used, that Devil's Six edition is not the Devil's Six edition anymore. It's the bog standard game.
Ah, okay.
True.
Okay.
I know what he's talking about because basically they make it seem like that physical copy version that cunt is going to be on the game, but it's like enter this code to get your online DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
So
it's like, okay, why
you have
not?
to buy new.
Yeah, you pretty much have to, which is why I've had GameFly for 5 years, and when you buy a game from GameFly, even when it's used, they send you the original box it came in, and because you can't sell games back to GameFly, basically the codes always work. All my Nintendo games, all my games that came with DLC, when I got them from GameFly, they come with the damn code in there, and it always works because they give you the original box that's still like in the wrapping.
So, quick question though. That actually raises a question about GameFly.
Precision up.
What?
Sorry. Allergies, don't worry about it.
All right, I hear you. all of these codes, aren't they like single use only?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, normally.
So they send you a new code each time somebody rents that game then?
No. With GameFly, when they send you the game, they send you the game in like a Netflix sleeve. Just a disc with it surrounded by cardboard and a little, mailer or whatever. But when you choose to buy the game, or they call it keep it, they ship you the original box for the game.
Okay, all right, got
So
it.
they've kept the card somewhere else, and you don't get that content if you're renting it.
All right, cool, got it.
Like for example, when I rented Tekken Tag Tournament 2, or whatever, I rented it first for the Xbox and I got it. Of course, I read online before I even got it in my house that it had an online passcode. Well, they don't ship that with the game. They ship you just the game, but they do give you like I think like a 24-hour trial period to use it online or something like that if you sign up online. But when you buy the game, they ship you the original box, and of course the original box comes with the instructions and any other DLC stuff it may have had. So in other words, when you buy a game from GameFly, it's basically like buying a new for a used price.
All right, yeah, I just need to clear that up because I buy all my games, not by choice most times. Sometimes I just buy these games that I wish I didn't buy, but as I said from the point, it's more of a situational thing. I kind of have to buy all my games. So I'm very uninformed on the rental system because they used to have rental systems here in this country and not to, Yeah, well, they never got their games back.
And that's actually a perfect segue into another topic.
Yeah.
Another thing contributing to what I believe is a crash of gaming is this whole going digital. Now, while I do understand the convenience of going digital, that you have to lug around a bunch of discs and keep them up, and with the old days, PS1 and PS2 discs got easily scratched, but since both the Xbox One, the PS3, and the PS4 are using Blu-ray, and the Wii U's using a version of HD DVD, which has scratch resistance like Blu-ray, it's not really a thing with scratches anymore, but the issue I have is you can't sell back a digital copy. You can't loan that to a friend. If someone wants to try the game out before they buy it, to me, you should allow a way to sell that back or something. Now, I understand there may be some type of infrastructure, hacks out there that could be done where you keep the game. You may have sold it, whatever. I understand that, but this whole going digital, I'm not really for that. I don't mind downloading an indie game or even a major title, but unless I'm forced to, I'm never going completely digital because to me that's the way to keep me from playing the things I like. Biggest example I can think of, and guy wrote an article about this, the PS Vita. When Uncharted Golden Abyss came out, he was thinking that I got to catch a flight back to IGN headquarters, so I'm going to play this game on the plane the whole time. He went to GameStop, got the game, whatever, and he popped in his Vita, and his Vita said, you need an internet connection to update your game. So he couldn't even play a physical copy unless he had a digital download, I guess, to get an update for the game, which is stupid in itself. But that's when digital can come in handy. But in the typical case, I can't see myself going completely digital where I don't get any boxes or anything like that anymore. How you guys feel about that?
I'm a gaming dinosaur, dude. I don't mind digital
Yeah.
copies, but I prefer physical whenever I possibly can.
Okay, you're talking to the guy who was recently overwhelmed by the hype surrounding Mario Kart 8. Couldn't wait to get his hands on it.
Got a digital
Realized
and a physical copy.
realized that it would take a week, possibly even more, to get his hands on it. Wasn't willing to wait that long. Bought the digital copy midnight on release, and then the physical copy later on. Now owns two copies of the game. So
um,
I can't rightly say that I don't agree or I don't do digital because that would be a lie.
this is what they call
Um,
being a game peon. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Right.
I mean, but see, in
But
your case, you had a reason because I mean, of course, you can. People may tell you that, well, just be patient, man. It's like, but of course, when you're a gamer, sometimes you don't want to be patient, and I can understand that. But in your situation, it's fine to buy digital. Just like I almost got a digital version of Darksiders 2 until I price matched it at Best Buy, but I would have definitely got it digital because it was cheap. But
that's right.
But I've actually been in forums and even on Google Plus, people are like, man, digital is the way of the future, man. I buy all my games digital. I don't like dealing with the disc. I don't have to keep putting my disc in the game. It's like, have we really gotten that lazy as to now we think it's a chore to put a disc in a game console?
You see, the thing is, to those persons who believe digital is the future, you buy all your games digital. Let me just give you a nightmare scenario, and I hope you can sleep tonight after I tell you this. The Wii U, regardless of how whether I don't know what your position with Nintendo is, but let's just say you have a Wii U, you buy all your stuff digital. You do realize there is no account system, right? If your Wii U goes down, all of that content goes down with it. Let me make it even worse. You're in America. Sure, you can send it back to Nintendo. They can fix it for you, maybe even move the data elsewhere. What if you live, somewhere else in the world, you happen to be listening to this right now, or at some point in the future, where you have no direct link to Nintendo? You can't send that back. You bought all your stuff digital. Your console goes up in flames. That's it. Your hundreds of dollars of content goes up in flames with it. Because there's no way to just get into the console, switch take your account, put it on there, and then re-download everything else. It doesn't work that way. I
Yep, that
mean,
happened to my friend. She has the red Mario Edition Wii.
mm-hmm.
And see, and
Yeah.
that's a tough thing to me because me, as much as I love technology, love keeping up with it, I'm not completely dependent on it. At least I try not to be. And my thing is, common sense to any tech person, hard drives crash, memory gets corrupted, but a disk does not have to worry about things like that.
Exactly. Unless you happen to be the careless type who throws it just left, right, and everywhere, and then when you get it back, it's scratched to hell. But if you're a careful person, if you respect your possessions, your belongings, then you don't have to worry about that. But here's the thing: I personally speaking, I see the benefits in doing digital because you get your hands in the game right away, as evidenced with my personal situation with Mario Kart and possible situation concerning Smash Brothers. Not too sure if I'm going to do that again, but it is high. The
Well,
possibility is
well, if your internet connection is
Very,
buggy,
very, very high.
high.
Very, very, very high. Very.
Yeah.
you
Because
know,
I don't see myself. Okay, see, the thing is, I don't live in the United States. For those of you who don't know, it takes at least a week for things to ship here to the Caribbean, Trinidad. And so I don't see myself waiting while the rest of the world smashes, and I'm unable to get in on that. I just don't see me doing that. The thing is, I'm not going to do every game like that at the same time
But
because,
Zen,
like Shepard
patience is a
said,
virtue.
to hell with patience when it comes to anticipated games, man. Because you guys are going to be
Just-
posting. What's going to make it worse is you guys are going to be posting all kinds of shit, all these fun moments. You're going to be on Hangouts. You're going to be on calls like this one, hanging out, playing Smash Brothers. I'm going to be the guy sitting there like, mine hasn't gotten here yet. So, I don't ever want to have to experience that again because I've gone through this in the past. So I utilize the digital system in situations like that. At the same time, I don't agree buying everything digital. Like games you can see yourself waiting for, wait for it. But the ones that you must have, the hot ones, then go ahead and do it digital. If you have your own personal reasons, maybe not exactly that particular situation, but all digital, in my opinion, is a complete mistake that should never be made by any gamer out there who cares about the money they spent, amassing this collection. And, it's always safer to go physical. Always safer to go physical.
I mean, sorry, just to sort of add to that with the physical sort of side of things. I mean, personally, I think there's sort of two major reasons for me. I mean, I like to have the physical discs myself just because it's a collection type thing, and you can have it on display or whatever for yourself, kind of like a collection of books or whatever else you might have.
Hmm.
And then I also kind of think from a business and industry sort of point of view, physical discs, being able to sell that content on, then allows people who might not be able to afford the full price games to enter that sort of gaming experience, and then also allows people who may buy a game and not enjoy it as much to get some funds towards buying the next one, which then gives more money to these companies.
But I mean,
Which can only be good for them getting money.
but to add on to that though, I mean, but if that's the case, we all know that digital adds a certain convenience, but it also takes away something. It adds the convenience of you can get something the moment it's released, and you can play it without having to lug around the actual physical copy. But at the same time, you lose the ability to resell it or loan it or let someone borrow it. So why not make a digital version cheaper than a retail version? If you want to inspire someone to make a really conscious decision that should I go digital or should I go physical?
Well, yeah, I always thought that the digital copy should be cheaper, but it doesn't seem to go that way for some reason. Unless you're on
Yeah.
Steam.
True. I mean, but that's just one of the things that I just feel that is going to tear down the gaming industry. And when it, and I'm really, really, I'm a really old school person. Like for example, the my HTC One is the first cell phone I've owned that had no physical keyboard. But even when the iPhone was around and all these other phones, the phone I would get a high end phone that had a built-in physical keyboard because I know touchscreen keyboards are not nearly as accurate, not nearly as convenient.
Tell
But
that to the, yeah. You don't need to tell that to the guy who owned the BlackBerry Storm too. I know.
I mean,
I know.
dude, I
Those are
love
the
the
crappiest
keyboard.
screens of all
It's
time.
so easy to use. I love it, but every company has shied away from using the keyboard because it makes the phone sort of bulky. So
But
I
then
had to join the crowd.
I'd say, like, just sort of going on
I
the whole
love the Droids keyboard.
building everything into one thing. I mean, that's what's happening with consoles across the board. I mean, we used to have everything completely sort of separated out from your console. Even if you wanted to go online on the early consoles, you had a separate modem for it. So it's everything's getting so pushed in that it's all in your box, which makes it, convenience is the biggest thing there. But then look at like your memory cards and things that have kind of disappeared. If our console goes down, yeah, we lose those games, and we may be able to get those games back. But if you had memory cards back in the day, if your console died, you could still take your memory card to another friend's console. You didn't
Yeah.
lose that data.
I still got a few memory cards for both my GameCube, my PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1. So yeah, I definitely do have those. Even
Yep, same here.
I even got the VMU units for the
PlayStation
Dreamcast.
2, PSP, everything.
Or even going back, some of the games, the cartridge games would have stored the save on the game. So even if your console completely died or you sold it for whatever reason, you could always get that content back.
That's
True.
true.
I mean, but those days are gone, man. And I guess the biggest examples are when I look at the PS4 and Xbox One. And again, I'm not bashing the consoles. I love them all, but when you tell me that after I buy a game for $65, I have to sit through waiting for this game to install on a small ass hard drive so I can have the ability to play this game. And my first thoughts when they first released were, so what if I don't have an internet connection and I can't install a game? That means I can't play it? And that was actually
Hmm.
true. You couldn't play the game until it actually installed.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. But you see, again, with this whole digital thing and transference of memory and all of that, it's cool if it remains the way it is right now, right? You have the option. The only thing I would say is that digital needs to be cheaper, as you guys have been saying, as I've been saying for years now. At least $10 cheaper. 15 would be good. But when it starts, delving into dangerous territory, is when you start seeing, remember what the Xbox One was supposed to be? Before, surprisingly enough, gamers actually came together and shouted no and they changed it.
VRM is the future, though.
Yeah, well, you could say that a grim future, but yeah, I guess you could say that. But
Yeah, post-apocalyptic.
yeah, that's what the Xbox One was supposed to be until the smart ones among us said, "Hey, hell no, we ain't buying that shit if this remains the status quo," and they changed it. So, yeah, if it remains as it is, if the balance is maintained, I have no problem with it. Just make the digital copies cheaper. Hell, do me one better, and do what you do with Blu-ray, where they give you, of course, you get the disc, but you get what do you call that, an ultraviolet copy or something?
Yep,
Yeah.
the ultraviolet
Right.
disc copy, yep.
Right, there you go. Do me one better and do that, right? But if you don't want to, you want to keep it as is, cool. Just make digital cheaper and
sorry,
never go down the
just-
route that Microsoft was trying to. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, just to add to the kind of making the experience better for the incentive side of things, from sort of playing consoles and sort of using PC gaming for Steam and things, if they're gonna sort of go digital and make things cheaper, and we're all talking about incentives and making the experience better overall for that, why not go down the route of what Steam has? Store your saves on the online server, store your game sort of availability on there, so that if I have 4 consoles in my house, I can sign into whichever one I want and play whatever game from whatever point I was saved at, and make that cheaper. And then that's my incentive not to have to sell off that game or whatever down the line, because I've got this amazing experience that I can hop about and do whatever I want with.
But even with
Yeah.
that said, what happens is, I mean,
That
I
sounds
guess
too
the
good
thing
to
I
be true.
fear is that even though that's cool, the one thing I've always wanted to have is that whenever I want to pick up a game, whether it be current, brand new, or really, really retro, I want to be able just to pick it up, put it in, and play. I
Oh
don't want
yeah,
to
I
be
get.
dependent on some kind of cloud server. I don't want to be dependent on internet. Like right now, if I want to play Power Stone on my Dreamcast, all I gotta do is hook up my Dreamcast to a television and play. The only real requirement is that the console works and that I have electricity. But other than
Yeah,
that, need nothing else.
You
sorry,
could
yeah,
just
but
give me a Dreamcast, by the way, Ken, since you're not using it.
but all I was saying from that side of things was, if you're going to do it, don't force it in the sense of, okay, you can't go online unless you pay this, Xbox firewall. What they should have is, if you want the console, just the console offline. You buy the game. Regardless if a patch comes out for that game, you should be able to never plug that console into the internet and just play that game on disc. And then the alternative should be that if you want to go the route of the online account and go that way, you've got that choice, and they make it cheaper.
Well, that was a rumor going around months prior where they were when they were talking about a Xbox One console revision. They were talking about a diskless one that just had a larger hard drive
I
and
heard about that, yeah.
and people say that it's actually still true. It may be coming later on this year or next year, but they say that there actually may be less of a rumor, more like it's going to come within before the halfway point of its life cycle, because Microsoft is really pushing, the whole downloading. Because right now you have to basically download all your games.
Sure,
Which
but I think if they're going to sell that console, they should sell that console with an unlimited gold connection, because you've bought that console and you can only have games through their download store. So you've opted into that from the offset. They know they have your money.
True.
all right. So wait. An unlimited gold membership. You pay once and that's it, or
No,
you
you
just
bought the
making it
console
free?
and you have it as part of the fact that you're now only buying games through them.
Ah, okay. All right, I understand that.
Well, but there's one problem I do have with buying games digital, and I hate to say this, but Nintendo is one culprit. Where games that are actually 20, $30 in the stores are still $60 on Nintendo's eShop.
Yes,
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Mhm.
And there's
I'm like,
and
hold on,
there's 6
Nintendo.
demos on there that haven't changed since day one.
Yeah, I'm like, I know you don't price match anybody. You never have. You actually used to price fix until you got sued about it. But you mean to tell me you're still trying to charge $60 in Ninja Gaiden 3?
Well,
And
the
mind
thing
you,
is,
Ubisoft's constantly got a sale on.
Exactly.
yeah. The thing is, the way that goes is that actually it's the publisher who decreases the price, not really as so the the
The platform
the
owner.
person, yeah, the platform store.
In price.
The thing is, the platform store cannot determine your price. It can, if say, all right, I'm a game developer, right? I want to publish my game, so there we go. We're putting on the PlayStation Store, right? And I'm gonna set my own price. That's how they do it. Because the thing is, Sony can't just be like, oh well, we're gonna set your price to, well, let's see, 105. Like, no, that's stupid. So the thing is, they get to set their own prices. Now, the way that it works with digital, I don't know why they keep it up. I think it's because, it's always a new copy, and they don't go by used prices like in GameStop. That's mostly what Nintendo. Because the thing is with Nintendo is that their IPs are always up to full price, because they never decrease.
Yeah,
Now,
but
you
can see- wait. Wait. But the thing is, like, I'm not. But the thing is, yes, I know that there's some that have decreased in price from the main retailer, but it's like at the same time this is a digital store where now I'm just saying this for the store owners' IPs, okay? Now it is a digital store, and the thing is, it goes by whoever wants to decrease the price from each publisher. That's how the price will decrease from the store.
Then you also have
really
to factor
can't-
in
yeah.
the retailers might be desperate to get rid of what they have on stock, so they might
And the
just
thing is,
include it
yeah,
by-
exactly. The thing is, retail and digital are totally different kind of markets right there. Because digital, you have it there and it's new. It's basically right there. It's perfectly there. But at retail, you never know. The thing is, retail, they like to sell their stuff because that's the only way you make business, right? So they come up with sales, they come up with price drops, they come up with all this stuff. So that way they can
It's
sell it to you. at
Very
that
interesting that you bring up this angle, this perspective, and I understand what you're trying to say. And I partly agree with it, but again, let me play your opposition here for a minute. You're saying that retail and digital is different. Okay, I get that, different markets. And the reason why retail fluctuates in prices is they're trying to get rid of their stock and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. There is no stock in terms of digital, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no price in terms of shipping your product to the retailers. There is no price to print the disc.
For the record, we're not.
Mhm.
I don't know about games, but for record, I'm not condoning it. I'm just explaining why there's a higher chance of retail dropping in price quicker than digital because of that
No,
fact.
no. I'm just about to say that I'm about to bring up something here that should counter this.
Okay, go ahead.
Why does retail fluctuate in price due to all of these other aspects and figures? They need to get rid of their stock and so forth. Where digital, there is no stock, there is no price attached to any of the production or shipping. Shouldn't it be cheaper naturally then? Shouldn't it always be cheaper than a retail copy, given that all it took to make this game was to make it once and then ensure that it stays the file or whatever you're downloading from stays up there in the store. There is no additional cost. If you need to print 100,000 more copies, guess what? You don't have to do that with digital, right? Because it's
Not like
always there.
BitTorrent.
It is always there. It's you can't run out of copies. So once you get it up there, that's one cost, one time only. That's it. You're done. So it should always be cheaper than a retail copy, which has all of these other costs attached to getting a copy, a shipment to a retailer. So
Especially now, since
But
if you look at like sales of like digital compared to physical retail copies over the last couple of years, like digital is really taken off.
Mhm.
I understand like 4 or 5 years ago, it was rare that a digital game actually got 1 million digital downloads or whatever, or more downloads than the physical retail, even a small portion. But nowadays, it's like you can look at like Mario Kart 8. I'm pretty sure out of that 2 million copies in the first month, there's probably at least a good 500,000 to 1 million digital downloads.
yeah, well, it's easy to find out what the reason for that is, because people got more lazy. Not the whole disc thing. No. It's like,
Why do I have to go to the store when I can just
Exactly.
click?
You see- you
I
see
gotta
the,
I gotta
the-
put my game down. I gotta go take a shower. I
Yeah,
gotta
but you-
dress.
yeah, but
I
you
gotta
know
go
what?
in the car.
I read some of those horror stories and people are like, it says I gotta wait 12 hours for the download to complete, and then it gets like the hour 3 and it's like download error. You gotta start over. Yeah, I'd rather go to the store and buy it once and get it right the first damn time.
But then
But
what's
Alright.
annoying?
the thing is now there's also that installation thing. Now that with these consoles, now it started with of course PS3, Xbox 360. Now you have to install things, right? So it could happen either way. You can get damaged.
Dude, that's an
Either
excellent
while it
point
was
that you brought
downloaded.
up.
It
Wait,
used
wait,
to be a
Dude,
patch. Now it's an installation.
Rosa,
yeah.
Rosa,
The thing
Rosa,
is,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You just made an excellent point. Almost all of these games, you have to do some type of install to run the game. Now,
and
while these consoles have these large hard drives, right? Nintendo has a small hard drive, so I'm like, fine, let me spell it out because no one's gonna say it. They
What?
think, oh, we get 500 gigabytes of hard drive, and it's better,
Oh,
blah
yeah.
blah blah. No, that 500 gigabytes, 450 of that is gonna be all download to run your game. That's gone. That's
Not even
gone.
that, but I mean, like the typical game. Let's just say the typical decent title. I won't say AAA and I won't say crappy indie. I will
Which
say
was
the average title, the install size is roughly 10 to 30 gigs on
that
average.
is true. The thing is, the game itself is less, but when you install it, it adds more. Than because let's just say something is 15 gigs for this one game, right? Then all of a sudden you go to your data management or whatever it's on the console, right? And you go there and you're just looking at it and it's just like, wait, but it said 15 gigs. Why is it at 25? Because the thing is, it's just a matter that the disc, or the game itself or whatever you download or get from installation or something like that, there's always going to be that additional memory because it needs that in order to run the game.
Or
Right.
sometimes it even hides it. It'll be a day one patch or something, and then when you see the overall folder, it'll say 10 gigs, and you'll
Yep.
be like, so how am I down 14 gigs? And then you click in, and it's got 10 gigs plus 4 for whatever patch, and you're like, what? Like I had to put
Yeah.
this thing on here, and it doesn't even tell me it's there.
See, because either way, you could have disc or digital, you're still going to take up memory no matter what. Unless you delete it right after, unless you're one of those guys, that delete the data, all the
cache?
data from the game.
But it's,
You know.
it's even the games that know they need a patch before you
Mhm.
even get them. So your your console could be offline, and as far as I'm concerned, if your console's offline, whatever's on the disc should at least attempt to play. But some of these
Well,
games come
yeah.
come
Yeah, but
on
you know what,
and they
George?
ask for the patch. They say connect to the internet. So there's no way that the internet's told them they need a patch. It's looking for it off the disc.
And but you know
Yep.
what? That is a perfect. Once again, you guys are great. Perfect segue into the next topic. Nowadays, most games, even first party, require a patch the moment you get them. But you think about Genesis, Super Nintendo, Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, those games did not need patches. If there was a bug, it was there. But I'm not saying they should have tried to fix it, but it wasn't a major bug. But now games have gotten so complex and they're focusing so much on the look of the game. And like someone else said earlier, that basically they're shallow. But how is it you have all these programmers, all these developers working on a game, and the day I buy the damn game, the physical copy, I have to patch up something that you did not fix or you didn't see coming until today?
The problem
released
is
it before
a lot of
debugging.
these games are not complete. They are simply not complete. They're rushing to
Alright.
get it out to the market.
Here's the thing: when these developers sign up to these publishers, so that they can handle the business side of distributing the game and all of that, the advertising, the marketing, a lot of them also sign into a time limit deadline. We want this game by October 10th. That's the bottom line. I don't care what you have to do to make that deadline happen, but you're going to do it. This game goes out to the public on October 10th. So that's what they do. And they make sure that the base level of the game works, make sure it doesn't immediately crash the minute you put it on. Just so long as you can get into the game, at which point they can
Battlefield. Oh, keep going.
they can focus they can focus on
Why are you
fixing the
complimenting
game.
Battlefield for?
Hey, for anyone watching, um, I think it's true that Battlefield 4 is still not working properly as a game,
Hmm.
and you bastards are probably still out there buying it. But continue, Zen.
Yeah.
What, like SimCity as well?
They fix it after the fact. They let it get out there and then they fix it after the fact because the fact of the matter remains is the development team was not given the time they needed to
Mm-hmm.
finish the game. That's just basically how it is. Especially when you have all of these companies coming out here and all of them, which is something we really should discuss, all of them bundling their games into one portion of the year to get that holiday sale, right? To get that holiday dollar. You want to make that deadline. You don't want that to pass because then your competition might come up with their game before you. In the case of Battlefield, brought up kindly by by Ken here, you have Call of Duty coming out as well. You don't want Battlefield, which may or may not be coming out earlier than Call of Duty, to slip behind Call of Duty because then all the shooter guys, all the card heads or whatever you decide to call them, will just opt for the earliest option.
But
So,
Zen, to touch on that though, I have a question.
mm-hmm.
And I hate to keep bringing this up. It feels like I'm picking you guys. I'm not. But Watch Dogs.
Okay.
It was planned to be
Mm-hmm.
a AAA title at release for all three for all three of the current gen consoles and even the last gen consoles. Now we all know what happened to the Wii U version. It got delayed for stupid reasons or even good reasons, depending how you look at it. But my thing is, this is already an overhyped game, and to me, the hype would have been justified if they would have just said 2014 holiday.
Actually,
To
the
me,
reason the Wii U version was delayed was for this very same thing. They aimed too high. They were too ambitious with both their deadline and what they wanted the game to be at launch.
I mean, true.
Right?
I understand that part, but the point I was getting at is instead of rushing this game, because Watch Dogs, even though it has competition, just because you have competition does not mean you have to directly compete with them. Look at Nintendo; they have competitors, but they do not compete with them. So they had planned on releasing their game after Grand Theft Auto 5. Now,
Right.
Grand Theft Auto 5 stole a lot of thunder, and all that hype, it did pay off. We're talking about $1 billion in 3 days. To me, that's part of the reason they delayed the game. But you could have waited till holiday 2014 to release your open world game. I know I'm losing the term loosely, but you could have released your game when it had virtually no competition for any other related game. Because
Hmm.
Destiny comes out in September. You can release your game this November and have no competition in that genre. And you could have nailed the sales, and you could have made the game perfect. You could have added way more content.
Actually, you know what? We should just stop talking about this because we're talking about Ubisoft. This is a company that can't get a date right to save their lives. Okay, these are the same people who wanted to release Rayman Legends next to Grand Theft Auto. The same people who wanted to release Watch Dogs next to Mario Kart 8. The same people who are going to release Rainbow Six the day the Master Chief Collection comes out. Yeah, these people are hopeless.
Did you hear they? Sorry, did you hear they crippled the PC version of Watch Dogs as
Yeah.
well?
They
Yep.
did,
Yes,
they
I
did.
read
Yes,
about
they
that.
did.
They turned off a bunch of the texture packs and things to make the console versions look better when the original footage that they showed at their shows was the uncrippled version.
Exactly. So, we can already talked about that. My opinion on it was somebody, whether Microsoft or Sony, not calling any names, not blaming anyone directly, somebody passed some money under a table somewhere and said, hey, whisper, whisper, hint, hint, make it bad, level out the playing field. And they're like, okay, this looks good. And they did it. They
Well,
thought,
I've learned
they-
recently that
'Cause,
Ubisoft is atrocious towards PC gamers.
To go,
Yeah.
sorry, just quickly, one step further than that, one of the hackers out there figured out a way to turn it back on and said there was next to no difference in performance. He was still getting the same performance but with the better textures. And then Ubisoft released a patch to fix something in the game and blocked his fix.
oh, so they actually reblocked the fix.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, these dudes are just,
They're trying hard to catch up with EA.
yeah, they
They're
are.
really trying to.
but you know what though? It's their fault because honestly, Ubisoft made this. They made the same mistake. They've been making themselves into EA for the last 5 or so years
You
because
see, you see,
they
the
started with
problem is
Assassin's
though.
Creed and then they got greedy. And well, Assassin's Creed 2, great. I think it was like 2 years later they released Assassin's Creed 2. Then you had Assassin's Creed 2 Part 1, which is
Mm.
Bloodline or whatever. Then it was Revelations.
Brotherhood Revelations.
Brotherhood and Revelations, which were a year after one another. I mean, and then you got three, then you got four, and then this year they're doing something that even EA has not done. They're releasing two versions of the same damn game, one for last gen, one for current gen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm
Ridiculous.
sorry, but when Activision was swapping out a Call of Duty made by Treyarch and a Call of Duty made by Infinity Ward, at least that was two separate companies that made two games in different timelines for the most part until
In different
recently.
But then
years.
EA have been doing that with the Wii for years now, where they've been making a knockdown crap version of their game that's like a generation behind.
I
So
mean,
when it comes back to Watch Dogs, the original point, and deadlines, they pretty much delayed the Wii U version. A lot of people are saying because of Mario Kart 8, and yeah, that could have something to do with influencing this decision. But really and truly, the Nintendo game to most of these third parties is always going to be the game that could be delayed, the game that could be downgraded, the one that we don't have to try on because that's just our position.
Yeah, they'd be like, well, if it doesn't
Yeah.
sell, it's because it's Nintendo.
So they knew that they wouldn't make this deadline. They knew they were far too ambitious with this game and what they wanted it to be. So they said, okay, we can no longer afford, time-wise, to make 5 copies of this game, 5 versions of this game, however much ever. So come on, let's do a raffle and let's figure out which one of these are we going to delay. And they said, what raffle? Not necessary. Just delay the Nintendo one. And that's what they did. Because they could no longer manage that within the time left. So,
but you know what's crazy to me when I think about it is that the Watch Dogs for the Xbox One and the PS4 they require installs, right? And I read articles where they may look a little bit prettier than the last gen versions, but not by much. So to me,
actually,
if the PS3, go ahead.
mhm. I was about to say we have someone here who can confirm that, Games.
What was that? Sorry.
Comparison
So
of the PS4 to PS3 versions of games.
Well, we're talking about Watch Dogs in
Watch
particular.
Yes. What do you mean, like the differences, right?
In visuals from PS3 to
Visuals.
PS4. How does
Okay,
it
I'm
look
just
on
gonna
a
say
PS4
this.
to you? Yeah.
The PS4 version, I'm just gonna say, does not look. All right, it looks slightly better, not like this big bump. You know, it looks like because whenever I look at the cars, they actually look like if they were on if it was on GTA on the 360 and PS3, but dumbed down a little. You know, and it's not really a big improvement. You know, texture-wise, his clothing is fine and everything, but it's like this place, the water, shoot at it. All right, I'm getting too graphical, but
I mean,
um,
but I guess the point I was trying to get at is the new current gen versions require installs.
oh
Because,
that
but
this one.
but the last gen does not, but they look just as good.
The thing is, last gen actually PS3 and you talking about the PS3 and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually did require installs. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But the didn't part was actually like 5% of them.
All right, you're
So
talking about texture packs, right? Additional
Uh,
texture packs that you need to download,
Guys.
install.
Or no,
That-
just
that- that
generally
bounce.
install the game. The game had to install before you
Yeah.
could play it.
Okay, all right.
yeah, Watch Dogs has to do that on PS4. Watch Dogs has to still install.
I think.
Um,
Sorry, I
Guys,
think
I've got a
so-
bounce.
from a sort of technical point, I don't know all the
Hold
sort of
on,
ins and
gentlemen,
outs of it, but
Not to throw you off for a second, I think
Sorry.
Micah gotta go. I guess you're gonna do a quick outro.
Yeah. But,
All right, Mega Man. I know we keeping you. I know it's late where you are, man.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, but thanks for having me on here, Ken. Yeah, it's been great speaking with everyone. And as I always say, play your games, enjoy your games, and just have fun. And I'll speak to you people soon.
All right,
Sorry
dude,
about that,
man.
Gordon. All right, take care, bro.
That's
Catch you
it.
later.
Sorry about that, Gordon. I just wanted to let him get his piece before he disappeared.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so all I was sort of saying was from the way that things sort of worked with, how consoles were sort of built and worked compared to how they've kind of become mini PCs now. Um, they used to sort of cache a lot of information, I suppose, and that meant that we got sort of loading screens, but everything kind of worked off your disk. But now that they're kind of going PC install and all those sort of side of things, some of the hardware inside isn't as quick, and that's why sort of with the Wii U we maybe have some loading times, but generally things maybe are a little bit smoother in how they play.
Mm,
If that
okay.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It
Yeah.
does. It's just installations for like. All right, here's the thing. Why do I need a freaking patch just to make Call of Duty 1080p? Just tell me that. It's like you have patches that are good, fix bugs and stuff like that, and patches that are just plain right dumb. So
I
you
think
got.
Well, hold on. Oh, well, I have an example of that. Remember Battlefield 3?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I
Xbox
remember
version
that.
had that. I think it was like a 1 or 2 gig HD download.
it all comes back to the deadline, guys. It all comes back to the deadline. There was no
That
time
is true.
to ensure that this was there at launch. So, like, you know what? Release the damn game. We'll do it afterwards.
Yeah, that's the thing is that's why I really do not like
That's our fault.
publishers.
That's our fault. We still buy these products.
That's
we-
right. If they do put a patch out there, if they do put a patch out there to go between say 720 and 1080 for something like that, and you just want to go straight into your game, like I don't understand why they then block you from say going online with your 720 as it stands. Like if that patch is simply a resolution change, then I should be able to play as I want to play and then patch it tomorrow. I shouldn't be
Yeah.
locked from going straight online.
Right. True.
Like there are
you
just
still bought the product.
Yeah,
it's just there.
it should be my convenience.
Yep.
Hmm.
It's just that there's just dumb patches out there, and I know you're gonna bring up and say, oh, but the developers didn't have time. I know that. It's just they really
Yeah, time
just
to put a button on it to say yes or no.
yeah, it's
But then-
just really not a hard thing to do actually, because you should be doing that while you're working on the game actually, because when
Just
you
like
have a
Shepard.
huge
Yeah.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's just when you have like a huge team, because now all these people have huge teams. You should be having a part of the team doing, textures and laying out the place while you got other people, doing writing. Then you got another people doing, doing all the other like models and all that for the game too. You gotta have people doing separate things and then come all
Debugging.
together. And you also have debugging. But you gotta have it where they do it all separate and then come together, and
Well,
while
see-
they're at their final months,
But see, that's the problem though,
Hmm.
because if you look at Nintendo, when they had like, let's say for example, 3D World, I'm pretty sure 3D World did not have 500 people work on it. They probably had a
Oh,
room
no.
with like 50 people working on their game.
But here's
And
the thing, guys.
They work together closely.
But I'm looking at the third parties mostly because they have these so-called big budget games,
But
5
in
million,
games,
500
you
million.
can't be overly critical. Again, just like Shepard said, it begins and it ends with us. This industry is cyclical, right? We're talking about bugs in games are being ready for launch, blah, 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 blah. But what happens when they actually delay it? What happens when they have to come out there and say, please understand, what's the first response? We get pissed. Say, why? This game should be out now. It's like 2015. What the?
But
no,
then-
it's EF, man. So that's
Nintendo don't get it.
right.
So,
But
but
But you see,
biggest
the thing I can counter that is actually Watch Dogs, because
So,
it's
what-
nothing better.
No. What do they do in response to us getting pissed about games being delayed? Is they move up the deadline, or they keep the deadline they originally had, releasing the game as is, because
Well,
they
you
know
know-
we're going to get pissed if we have to wait for a finished game.
I see, but then
Recently, I
So
see
we'll
the
turn up
comment.
with incomplete games. Not
Well, hold on,
incomplete games.
I see the comment recently where they were talking about Watch Dogs, man, and this in this forum, this dude said, he was talking about how like the driving mechanics are bad, and
Oh yes.
and then the guy, I took a picture of this, and the guy was like, he said, thank God they released it back in November, and I was like. He has a damn good point because they would have released it back then. Oh, if the game isn't good now, it wouldn't have been good back then.
Hmm. It would have been complete crap back then.
Oh my
And
god.
we couldn't look people in the eye, knowing how us gamers are, and say, hey guys, we can release it last November. We delayed it to May. We still can't release it now. We're going to delay it again. Can you imagine the outrage? Yeah.
See,
So
one thing is, I mean, why not? I mean, Ubisoft is his own company. I mean, I know when it comes to business, they sign contracts with publishers, and publishers make a demand. But my thing is this: if you know you have a brand new IP and a game, you know that if you have the time you need on it, you can make it killer. If I were you, I would go with the company that's more willing to let you do what you want to do, how you want to do it. And in my opinion, that probably would have been Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo would impose on them this game has to be released no later
But
than
you
November
see, though,
2013.
But you
no,
see, though, the
because
problem-
Nintendo
Yeah.
takes the punishment from us. They swallow it up. They're like, you know what? You
You'll
develop
wait.
a team, you take your time, make sure this thing is good, and we're gonna take care of all these bitches out here arguing that it shouldn't be delayed. You don't worry, you just make it good.
Like Reggie
They take
Fils-Aimé
punishment.
said, not my
Yeah.
problem.
Not my problem.
But then I think that is probably the biggest issue with it is those sort of timelines. And at the end of the day, as it's sort of been brought up before, we've kind of put that on ourselves. These big companies work to our timelines. Whereas if you look at Nintendo with sort of turn around and saying, we'll hold back until it's ready, or if going even sort of further into these sort of indie developers right now, they don't have that timeline put on them. We don't go, oh, we must have this indie game by this certain date, so they get this sort of surprise and delight, if you like. But the bigger companies are under our pressure. We want that game every year, or we want that whatever it is, and because of that, we're forcing them to churn out stuff as what
That's right.
not allowing them that time.
I mean, if you really think about it, we're saying Call of Duty is, rehashed. We're saying all of this stuff, but can you imagine if 1 year Activision says, you know what, the next Call of Duty game is going to take 2 years to make, so none this year. Can you imagine the
so
people
it's
in the
gonna be
forums?
3 years until you get a new game.
You know what?
People
Honestly,
tweet
as a gamer, me personally, if Activision came out tomorrow and said, we're not gonna release a Call of Duty for the next, it won't be ready until 2017, dude, I would cheer because
Yeah,
that
but
would give me time to forget about all the trash we've had, and I would look forward to a brand new, innovative one. Now, if they came
Well,
back out,
Ken,
Once again,
you are the
you're one
minority,
guy.
dude.
You're
The
one guy.
minority.
But
Right?
then if you look at the other side of it, I mean, look at half of us Nintendo fans right now. Okay, we're demanding the new Star Fox, we're demanding the new Zelda.
I mean, but where we
We
gonna
know
go?
that if they take 3 years to make it, it'll be the best game ever. But we still turn around and say to Nintendo, we want it now.
I mean,
So
That's
we're
right.
putting
but
that
that's
pressure
true.
on.
But like this, if I was a business, if I was Activision, Nintendo, whatever, you can bitch and moan all you want as a fan. It's not that I don't care about you, but I feel that they need to be more like parents. Yeah, you're gonna bitch and moan about us not releasing it, that it should be now or it should be soon, but we're gonna do what we need to do to make sure this game does not let you down. So you can bitch and moan all you want, but in the end, you're gonna still buy it.
Yeah,
And
and
I
the
love-
thing is, people have the. Oh, I'm sorry for cutting you. Go.
Good. Go.
No, go ahead. I hate doing that.
Oh, come on. These two
Yeah,
gentlemen
we can
over
cut
here.
again. It's
Just
all
go.
good.
All right, fine. I'll go. But you see, the people have that mentality. I understand. Yeah, he's only one guy, but the thing is, it's because they have that mentality that these companies are telling these people that, hey, it's only basically oh, now that with the power of these new next-gen consoles, we'll be able to make games faster and all as such. And I'm just like,
Nonsense.
bull, and that's how they have all. That's why you got people with this mentality. That's why
It's
you got.
actually-
Better somehow.
Just
Yeah.
to correct that, it's actually going to take longer.
No,
to
it's
make
gonna
things
take
now.
longer, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, of course, they're saying, oh, it's gonna be quicker, it's gonna be this, So you can't really blame the gamer for that part. You have to blame the developer or whoever's telling them that it's going to be ready in like somewhat
but,
months or
but then
days.
here's the real question then. You
Mhm.
know, would you rather have one game, say it's Assassin's Creed, right? Would you rather have one amazing Assassin's Creed for that PlayStation generation, if you like, of console, so for the entire life of the PS3, or would you rather have the 3 or 4 games as a saga, but lesser quality games as they are just now?
I'd rather have that one game.
Okay, so essentially you're asking quantity or quality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would we rather have a game every year, or would we rather have wait
No, I'm
till
not
that
saying.
one artistic piece is amazing?
I'm not. I'm
I,
not saying
I would
like
answer
we
this question
should.
very, very simply. You're talking to someone that I probably invested well over a couple thousand hours in Mario Kart 64 because that was one
Oh yeah,
amazing
this is why
game.
I'm bringing it up because Nintendo tend to bring out one per generation in most of their games, if that.
The reason but the thing is, the reason they do that is because what's the need for another one, and especially now because they can just patch it and stuff. They could do
But even if it
updates.
was a story-based
but-
game like Zelda, you might get two an entire generation. You don't get that story 6 times.
Because the thing is, those games now, Zelda, that takes time. That takes time.
No, but games. I mean, I see his point though. It's not really just about even just the franchises. I understand Zelda does take time, but any franchise and any game could take time. I mean, it really could. Like for example, I like Nintendo's way of releasing games.
Wait. Which way are we going with this? I'm just confused.
I mean, no, this is still about quality over quantity. Making one game per generation of a franchise, that gives you time. You have an extensive amount of time to enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
and you have just a little bit of time to almost forget about it because you're gonna start missing it because you haven't had one. People are not clamoring for a new Call of Duty every year. They may go out and buy it, but I'm telling you, if they just did free DLC updates every year, release new content without releasing a new game, people would still play Modern Warfare 2 today.
Yep.
Hell, they probably still are. So that's why I say Nintendo has the best model. And like, look at Rockstar. We
They
don't get
do.
Grand Theft Auto every 2 years. We get it once every 5.
But then also, if you look at it from the content of the game, right? I might buy a game right now. I've got 20 odd games for the Wii U, right? I played through so many of them in their story and then put them back on the shelf, and then I'm on to the next game. If the games were fewer, and I know people go on about droughts and things, but if the games are fewer, you explore every facet of that game. You go back, you 100% it, you pick up everything, you look at every little detail in the walls and the characters, and you go back and replay it from a different
Excellent
angle.
point.
And then how much more are you getting out of each individual purchase then, and also the game will be that much better because I've had that much time to put into making it better.
And
Yeah,
once
that's-
again,
that's-
that also brings
unfortunately-
real fans.
Wait, no, Zed, don't bring that up again.
Hold on, but how many of us remember the most? I mean, just the most trivial details of a game. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure games that you could tell me about even just a typical moment in any Kingdom Hearts game because you love it that much.
Mhm.
It's like me when I play Xenosaga. I basically know what the best moments are gonna be. I just know because I love that game. And even though I played through it twice, but each time I invested well over a good 100 hours.
To
And
the
even
point you're
because of
almost
I've never
quoting
played
it,
an
you know?
RPG game for less than 150 hours.
I mean, and then
Ever.
even like for example, think of all the games. Like look at Zen. He loves Mario Kart so much that basically he also hates it just as much because he's seen all the flaws in it. But he
How
still
much
loves
time?
that
How
game.
much time do people put into Pokemon or Animal Crossing?
You're talking to the Pokemon guy right here. But anyway,
Like
go ahead.
it's
I know Jamie put in like
years
this.
and years into those games.
Oh man.
I mean,
Even-
but
even
people
still
love those
today
games
with the
that
originals.
much. Like they love them so much that they know all the moments. They can probably play through the game again without even breaking a sweat. They know where each Pokemon is. I mean, I still have to wonder, like, what kind of Pokemon is that? But I know people that play Pokemon X and Y, and it's like, even a Pokemon I've never seen before, they know exactly what it is. And they don't actually have it. They just know each and every one of them. The type, the moves they have, everything. Because you love a game that much.
Yeah, that's not me, but yeah. I just got back into Pokemon, but yeah, continue.
Just like me, I love NFL Blitz, the original NFL Blitz,
Oh, no,
and I
yes.
still
It was
have the
awesome.
original on the
Did you ever play it in
64.
Ready
arcades?
franchise. Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
ever play
go.
the original in arcades, dude?
But dude, yes, I still have that on the 64, and I can tell you, I can still hear the voices, hear the sound of the tackles. I even still know most of the tackle animations just by memory. I really do. Like, 'cause I love that game just that much. I still know the damn turbo codes for NBA Jam.
It's even
Mhm.
tiny things though. Like for me, if I think of say 1080 snowboarding, all I think of is that entry when you come up to the sort of starting line and they go Ricky Winterboard, and like that's stuck in my head every time I think of that game, because it's
No,
such a
SSX,
iconic moment.
SSX tricky. Run, deal. That's all I gotta say.
But whatever moment it is within a game, like it should be that kind of thing that sticks in your head.
If we're talking attachment to the game through sheer hours, and the only way you're able to do that is, again, through spending enough time with the game. The original, well, there's no other, but Diddy Kong Racing, man, is it
Oh
wrong that now in 2014 I still remember every single code, cheat code in that game? Is it
I
wrong?
still have that
yeah, dude,
game.
I still have it. Yes.
I could just, just rehearse all of these codes for you, tell you what they do, the situations in which you use them, the best combinations for multiplayer. I can still do that, and I haven't played that game in could be well over a decade.
You know,
So,
I could do the same, but this is with Mega Man Battle Network. I can tell you all the chips, everything you need. I can tell you because I spent how many hours? I spent over. I would play that every single time during and after school. Like yes, during. It's true. But
okay.
you know.
I
I
can
mean,
be your teacher. But
I mean, but
Well,
just,
you graduated,
just go
so
back to the point though. I mean, but if you think about like take some of your favorite franchises or your favorite games and the
Mhm.
ones that have been rehashed and just imagine if there was only one Street Fighter per generation. Just
mm,
oh
one.
my
Like
god.
I'm not saying Alpha and then Turbo and then Hyper. I'm talking about if you had just one. What if Street Fighter 4 came out in the seventh gen and that was the only Street Fighter?
then Capcom would probably be not for sale. But anyway, um,
I was just gonna say that. I mean,
But then also that would
imagine if there
have.
was Modern Warfare, if there was the first Modern Warfare, and then we're just now getting Modern Warfare 2. Imagine that. Like Call of Duty would be just like Grand Theft Auto. The reason why that game sold so much is because we waited nearly 6 years to get a new one.
But then
right.
even when we got one as well, you'd get that game and say it was your racing game or whatever, you would have maybe twice as many tracks. The tracks might be more in depth and more sort of interaction and things going on there. Maybe you can customize up your cars more or whatever because they've had that time to look at it and properly debug it and look at what would make that more fun and better all around.
Essentially, what we're saying, people, is the perfect saying that'll wrap this up. How can I miss you if you won't go away?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's basically it. How can I miss you if you won't go away? You're always here. God damn it, go away. And
And
maybe, yeah.
and
Silence is golden.
and
And
for
then, we wouldn't burn out franchises as well. I mean, if you look at, I was, mentioned way earlier on to do with, the Guitar Heroes disappearing and Tony Hawk's and some of these other franchises we haven't seen for years.
So,
If they
in the-
didn't
yeah.
get burnt out, they could just keep sort of, just as we forget, reminding us how good they were and never have to die.
So, in a sense, all of this clamoring that we recently had over Star Fox, for example, could not have happened if Star Fox didn't go away,
Exactly.
right?
exactly, you need to just like it's like saying absence makes the heart grow fonder.
There we
How
go.
can you,
There we
like you
go.
say,
Yeah.
how can you miss something if you can always play some iteration of it? But when it goes away for a while, then we get to a point where we actually play the old game. Like let's say you buy Star Fox, you play it immensely, hundreds of hours, and then a couple of years later, a new game comes out or whatever, you start playing that. Then
Again,
you start realizing that, oh, I ain't played Star Fox in a while. Something reminds you. Do you pull it back out and you play it, even though it's still in the same generation, and then you start to forget about it. But then next thing you know,
yeah.
you sitting at a related game, you're like, well, you know what? Like, man, they should really bring that game back. And so now, look, a decade later or so, we're getting new Star Fox, and we're super excited about it.
But then now, just to play again, devil's advocate, because I'm all about
Ah,
balance and all of that. That's my thing. That's my thing. Right? It's all about objectivity. So it's time to go to the other side of things. What if the game goes away for a while? You're stuck with what the previous version, and you begin missing the franchise. What if when it comes back, it doesn't live up to your expectations, which I've had a lot of time to build.
okay.
Probably even to
You mean
unrealistic
like
proportions.
You mean like NBA Live?
Well, I mean, live is just crap, man.
But then the point would be that you would use that time that you would have used to make 3 games or whatever to make that one good game. So rather than it being a game that's gone away, they've not thought about for 3, 4, 5 years, and then it comes back. They've been planning a little bit in the background the whole time.
That's actually not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, and we've seen this happen, sometimes nostalgia kills new games. Sometimes there's nothing the developer or publisher could ever do that beats your memories.
I know what you mean. Yeah, the perfect example is Melee versus Smash Bros. 4.
There we go. Where now we have
Because-
Nintendo trying to get the Melee guys back in by making the controllers like, hey guys, come on. This is just like Melee. It's just like Melee.
But all they
People
wanted,
all have their own favorite Mario Kart, and there's always going to be that, I suppose.
I could give a rat's ass about Melee anymore, but I do love being able to use the GameCube controller
Hey,
again.
let me guys tell you something. On the original Smash 64, I played with the Nintendo 64 controller. On Melee, I played with the GameCube controller. On Brawl, I played with the Wii Remote, just the Wii Remote, held sideways. And on the Wii U, I'm going to play with my gamepad. I can move on. That's what I'm trying to say. I can move on. I have the gamepad, I have 3 Pro controllers.
Zen,
And I
Zen,
guess that's what you have to be
Zen,
prepared
once
to do.
again, Zen, once again, you're in the minority.
There we
See,
go.
some
Yeah.
gamers
Minority,
like us, we like variety, we like new things.
hold on, but you know what though? This is great, Shep. This is actually another, like I said, you guys are great. Another great segue into the next topic. And guess what? It's a play on words. It's getting more and more blatant that the new consoles are severing the link to the past. In other words, backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it used to be that the PS2 played PS1 games. Now, the Dreamcast didn't play Saturn, but I give them credit because it was the first pretty much online console. But you got to the PS3, it initially will play PS1 and PS2 games, but then after another, I think it was like after one revision, they took it away. The Xbox had emulation going on. They promised complete backwards compatibility.
Hang on, you can continue, but not only did they take it away from the revision, like the revised units on the hardware side of things, they actually patched it out of the ones that still could. But continue.
Well, I mean, and then, of course, you now have the PS3, I'm sorry, the PS4 and Xbox One, which basically they have no, and I mean no type of backwards compatibility. And even worse, they're asking you and expecting us as gamers to buy remastered HD versions for their still thriving predecessors.
Actually, let me tell you something, man. They made these consoles. They made them this way for whatever reason. You can blame the architecture, x86, you can blame whatever you want. And now that they can't do backward compatibility, they're falling over themselves, tripping left, right. They're just falling flat on their faces, trying to figure out a way to put back in the backwards compatibility. We have Sony with PlayStation. Was it? PlayStation Now. We have we have all of these remastered editions. We have Microsoft who's saying they're hoping to find a way to make the Xbox One backward compatible again. The fact of the matter is that now they're just tripping over themselves trying to do something they probably should have included in the first place.
Yeah, I mean,
but to answer that, why not do what the Wii U did? the Wii U is backwards compatible in that it has a separate Wiimote, which leads me to believe, I'm not a tech guy like that, but it leads me to believe that the Wii chip architecture is somewhere inside the Wii U and it's completely separate from the Wii. I'm sorry, it's in the Wii U and it's completely separate from it. So why not just
Right.
include the original architecture of your last gen console and just keep it separate?
You know
Actually,
why?
in the
They
Wii U's
went
case, I
out.
think
Go
it's
ahead.
the same architecture. I think it's the same architecture. It's just like an advanced version of it. So they had no problem doing that.
Yeah, it's a
On the
power PC.
I was gonna
right,
say the whole thing is that they went out of their way to create an entirely new system, which they kind of bit them in the ass. With the other systems, they just tried so hard to make something new that it actually isn't cost effective for them to keep it in the new design to run for the old systems. I said it wrong, but you guys know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I mean the overall issue is that if you make something in the same architecture faster and faster and faster, it can always roll back. Um, but both these consoles have made that leap into PC architecture where the only way they could play their old games would be to emulate them, and it doesn't matter for a console, the difference is enough to emulate because if they did, they'd be looking at really poor performance in these old games.
Okay, so to superimpose on that just for a moment. So basically what you're saying is the consoles themselves are cutting the cord to their legacy for the most part.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
own
If they
legacy.
Yep.
want, if they wanted to emulate, they'd basic to make it look as good as it was on, say, the 360 before it. You'd have to have a pretty powerful PC because of the amount of extra processing you do to emulate another system.
Wow, so basically we're these two consoles are cutting off their own legacies, their own
They're
bloodline
becoming
to become
PCs
something
and they're
different.
dropping the console. Yep.
Pretty much. They're
And Nintendo's the only one that has to try to make sure it continues to be a console.
They're the
they're,
only
they're,
one
they're
that's still power PC. Yeah.
yeah, they want to be PCs trying to look like games. I said it wrong. Damn it, I'm falling asleep. Whatever.
interesting. I mean, I never
They're,
really
they're
thought about that.
PCs. They're PCs dressed up as a console sitting in your
Yeah,
living room.
that's what I
That's
was trying
frankly
to
what they
say.
are.
Thank you, Gordon. That's what I was trying to say.
But they're
Yeah,
when
because the
it
way this
comes
goes.
to
Yeah.
emulating and things.
Yeah, because the way this goes is that, oh my god, there's so many people. When I was back in, I think, school 2 years ago, there was like this crew of PC, right, PC guys, and oh my god, they're just like, oh, what's the point of buying the console when I'll be able to emulate it sooner or later? I'm just like, so you want to spend over $1,000 more
This
to
is how idle
emulate
your son is.
this. You know, you want to do that. I mean, the Wii U's going to even be harder because, god,
The
you
only
have the
reason
controller.
to sorry to cut you off though,
Yeah.
because I have kind of a lot of the PC stuff. The only reason to emulate is if you can't sort of upscale to your current systems. So, say you're playing an N64 game nowadays on a flat screen TV, it looks pretty poor, and to get all the equipment and things you'd need to even attempt to get that to look good on a sort of flat screen TV is quite harsh. So a lot of people will own the games but still play it on an emulator on their PC or something because it can look
Mm.
better through that system. But for no other reason would you want to emulate because it's just a waste of power.
No, there's like people that just
Then,
they just do it because they don't. It's not because of the reason what you just said.
then
It's
you
just
also
like
have to
they.
factor in. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Naka.
I said then you also got to factor in. They figure it's a cash grab for some gamers that a lot of people tend to get rid of their old systems when they get the new ones. So they do stuff like PlayStation Now. They're like, all right, we can still make some money off the fact that we can't run PlayStation 3 disc on here. We'll just charge them money to play the games they used to love. More money right there.
Or
Yeah.
someone did bring up earlier on in one of the sort of Google Plus things was that if you've got a console out just now and you don't have any games coming out because they're working on a 2-3 year schedule to bring out these big flashy graphics, they can then take games that didn't sell so great on the PS3, upscale them to the PS4, and get the people who are starved for games to buy a game that they wouldn't necessarily otherwise buy.
Also, they
Right.
can
Yeah.
just revamp a game that was been around for less than a year that was relatively popular and try to make more money off of it.
Yeah.
They're not just doing that once, but they're
So-
doing
so-
that twice.
So let's say that, I would never buy that game, but I only have this console now. I've sold my old one off to buy this. There's no backwards
You know,
compatibility. I
that's the
have to
thing.
buy this game, and I don't want it.
That's the thing, though. That's their plan. You see, that's what I feel like they were planning all this time. Then because that's why when they got all the Xbox guys over, and they basically were like, oh, come on, we got PS4, blah, blah, more powerful, blah 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 blah, but no backwards compatibility, and so of course the Xbox people can't play. They didn't want to go and purchase a PS3 just to play PS3 games. So that's why Sony just did this PlayStation Now thing. And of course, you already know how cheap Sony really. I'm sorry, but those prices are outrageous. And also that they're not just remastering one game. No. They're remastering two, and one of them's not even a game; it's a movie.
So basically, what you're saying is, from what I've heard, is that they're telling us what we would like to hear in the beginning to get us to buy. Because I'm not going to lie to you, when they said the Xbox 360 was backwards compatible and even the PS3, I definitely was considering buying one. But then when they cut off the backwards compatibility, I was like, well, I now know I need to keep my old system, which I typically do, but now I have more reason to than not. And
That happened
now
with the PS2 later on as well. They cut off backwards compatibility.
Oh no,
Yeah,
they
with
didn't. They didn't. I still play my PS1 games.
Yeah, but no, I don't mean
Oh,
just
no,
the
no.
older consoles.
PS1,
The slimmer,
PS3.
newer models down the line, they removed the backwards compatibility.
Wait,
No.
PS2?
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh no, I still played my PS1 games. I have the PS
Yeah.
Slim. I have
Yeah.
the Slim, and I'm still playing PS1.
Well, over here you couldn't.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
All right, so
Wow.
probably it's a region thing.
Yeah, must
But,
be.
PS3, you can play your PlayStation 1
Yep.
games.
Yep.
PS3, you can also play your PlayStation 2 if you have the older models, or if you have the system data that can only play but it's only you can only play such a limited amount of games, and you don't even know which ones are supported with that kind of patch. So really, it's like they were focusing on they at least focused on backwards compatibility for PS2 and 3. But when it came to PS4, they're just like, nah, we're gonna drop it, and because I don't know, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like they just had this plan from the start, where they're just like,
They
all right,
did.
let's get, for me, it's just they did, because first of all, they're losing money, so what other way are you gonna do it to make money,
Well, see,
And
the
those
thing is
prices-
though, how can they expect to get sales when they're making games for their oldest system and the newest system can play it? They wouldn't sell any of their newest system games. Cause look at Watch Dogs. It came out on every platform, last gen and current gen. So basically, how can you expect to sell millions of copies on a PS4 when the PS3 still can play the game?
See, that's the only reason why the other one, the PS3 and 360, are still around, is because, of course, the install base for PS4 and Xbox One are going to be super low. So, it's only going to be around, right now it's up to like 8 mil, right, for PS4. Xbox One is like at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they're just like, oh, we're scared that,
Huh?
what?
That was weird. Okay.
Oh.
No,
Yeah, go ahead,
back
go
in the
ahead,
back.
man.
Keep going.
Alright. I know, he popped up. But anyway, it's just like
Don't ask. I feel wide awake all of a sudden.
it's all good. It actually happens a lot. I actually get that. But yeah. It's where they're just like, oh, we're not gonna sell that much because holy God. Oh my God, Bungie. I don't know how they're gonna do it. That's why they're putting it for the PS3 and 360, because they know if they leave it just for the PS4 and Xbox One, get their money's worth. Because that's how, huh?
No, I was about to say, I don't mean this to sound, company specific or fanboyish in any way, but that's what I particularly like about a new Nintendo console, because by the time one releases, for all intents and purposes, its predecessor is pretty much dead.
Yeah, and the thing is, and the console that does come up, because the next console we have is going to have backwards compatibility with Wii U, So, and guess what? This, oh my God, I do not know why it's so hard for everyone else. Is that, all right? We have the Wii U, right? Guess what it can do? This is like total ultimate backwards compatibility. We can download Game Boy Advance. We can download NES, SNES. We can soon to download N64 games.
Dude,
I mean, the Wii did that.
Hold on. You can download Sega and TurboGrafx 16.
Exactly. Sega, TurboGrafx 16. You can also, it's soon to be N64, soon to be GameCube, soon to be DS. We can put right now they put the Game Boy Advance there.
Well, no,
You
they
know-
already got the N64 because they had Mario Party 2 on the
On the eShop?
on the Club Nintendo for a free download.
No,
Actually,
the thing is you need to
that's
go to
for
your
the
Wii
Wii
menu.
mode.
Yeah, you need to go
It's
to
for the
your
Wii
Yeah,
mode,
the thing is, you can still download the games by accessing Wii mode.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's just you have to put it on the Wii mode and
Wii
that's-
mode.
It's still there.
Yeah,
Michael,
but
wait till you get back.
Yeah, but think of it as just like, because especially for people like that don't have a classic controller, right? I don't have one, so that game is useless to me.
Exactly.
That's
It's
why I
just
didn't buy it
like-
because I only
Yeah, but
have
the option
one.
is still. the
That's
option
why
is
I
still-
really. That's why I really want that's why I just want them to release, the N64 versions.
Yeah, don't get me
for
wrong.
Wii U.
Don't get me wrong. I want it as well, but I'm just saying the option is still there regardless.
Actually,
Yeah,
quick
I
story,
know.
guys. I got F-Zero X for free because of Club Nintendo. Was bouncing up and down like a giddy schoolgirl. I was like, yeah, I get to play F-Zero X again. I go over to the Wii mode,
Oh yeah.
try to start the thing up, and it's like, where's the controller, dude? I'm like, ah!
That actually happened to me
Yeah.
recently. When they were giving away Super Mario 64, or no, it was Mario Kart 64. Yeah.
Mario Kart 64, yeah.
And I downloaded it. I thought, oh my God, probably this is only, exclusive for the Wii U, for the Wii U eShop and all that. And then it's just like, code was invalid. Code was invalid. I'm just like, what's going on here? And then I go on there. It's just like, you must go to Wii mode in order to play the. I'm just like, oh shoot. So I
Yeah,
go
man.
there. And it asked me, "Where's that classic control roller? Wow, where's that classic pro controller, man? Where is that?
Bro, you missing the controller, bro. Hey, yo, bro. Can't
Yeah,
play
where's
this game,
that? Where's that? Yo, man, where's that controller? Where's that controller?
Yo, you can't imagine how pissed I was.
Yeah,
But,
I was
maybe
really
5
mad.
minutes, I was like, because I'd already built myself up to play some F-Zero X, and it's like, oh shit, I don't have the hardware.
But you know what though? That's also it touches on the next topic just slightly, but the games of today have more cinematics and less gameplay.
Beyond Two Souls.
Oh boy, oh boy.
I knew you were gonna yell that.
Games. We've talked about this.
Uh,
Beyond 2 cutscenes.
all right.
Okay. But I mean, but in all
Please let me
seriousness,
start
though,
this one.
the only exception to me, there were 2 games that did this more than anybody else, in a sense, but they still offer tons of gameplay. I'm not sure if you guys have played it on the PS2, but Xenosaga Episode 1 literally had about 20 hours of cutscenes, but it had about 50 hours of gameplay. So, I mean,
Well,
they
they have a
did.
balance.
I mean, but all they did is they turned every NPC talk into a cutscene, and Mass Effect is where they got that. I mean, Mass Effect got it from them, where they take every little NPC talk scene or whatever into like an actual cutscene, which
Right.
makes sense. It makes the story feel more fleshed out. You feel more engrossed because you're not just sitting there hitting A to go to the next part of the conversation. You actually get to see their reactions, their faces, and them talking, the emotion in it. So it's better that way. But games like Beyond Two Souls, I heard about Heavy Rain. I haven't played it, but I heard it was actually a pretty good game. And even games like, Infamous and stuff, I'm hearing that they're getting just more and more cutscenes and less gameplay.
Actually, another quick story. Metal Gear Solid Guns of the Patriot.
Oh my God.
A friend of mine brought that over on a PS3. He started playing it. This was the week between Christmas and New Year's, right? So, I mean, Shepard would know.
Cutscenes.
Yeah, Shepard would know. We have this thing here in Trinidad. Well, in other parts of the country, you might not do it, but everything that was wrong with your house, you see it just before Christmas, and you decide to do it then. So you're tired, you're bushed, you can't do nothing, right? So this friend of mine, he has a good enough gesture to bring over the PS3 that he got for Christmas. Like, he's so super excited to show me and this shit. I'm like, okay, you know what, bring it. Turns out the game is Metal Gear Solid. Guns of the Patriots. This dude puts this game on. He starts playing. I'm watching at first. But then, sadly to say, I fall asleep. He doesn't notice this. I fall asleep and wake back up what feels like maybe 15 to 20 minutes later. And I ask him, I say, dude, did you get through the stage that you were on, right? He looks at me and he says, no, this is the same cutscene. I'm like, are you shitting me? I was like, are you serious? Did I just sleep through a cutscene and actually get a decent nap? I got a decent nap. That's really okay when I woke up. And wake up in time to still see the cutscene going on. That was mind-blowing. To me personally, that was mind-blowing. Because I did not see that coming. I mean, when you really think about it, cutscene is a way to convey the story to the player. It's a way to explain what's going on. You don't have to do a lot of reading because it's pretty much read to you from the characters themselves. But that was ridiculous.
Yeah, my whole thing is this. Cutscenes in small amounts is a beautiful thing. It emphasizes certain parts of the storyline. But I come to play a video game, not watch a movie. If I want to watch a movie, I'd buy a movie. That's just me, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem with the Wii U version of Mass Effect, is that their supposed, and I use inverted commas, interactive comic is not an interactive comic. It's one long, basically slideshow where they give you this long spiel for God knows how long it took, and by the time you get to the game, you're half asleep.
Yes, that takes at least 10 minutes, maybe more, to get through that whole quote-unquote interactive comic that you actually don't... It doesn't really affect the story much, in my opinion, because I have played the original
game.
Game.
5 decisions and it changes next to nothing.
Right, I played the original games in the Xbox 360, 1, 2, and 3, and now I bought the Wii U edition or the EA Screw You edition, whichever one you decide to name it.
The second one better.
The EA Screw You edition? Okay.
I only picked it up because it was cheap, but I'm still disappointed.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it doesn't really change anything. You have limited choice. You can choose your your loved one, whoever you want your loved one to be. You can carry them through their first 3 games in that sense. You can
choose to save a couple of people.
Else. You can choose a couple of people who lives and dies between Ashley and Caden. Whether Rex dies or lives.
And whether or not you save the console.
And whether or not you save the console, and that's it. 3 choices.
I guess it'd be too late to say spoiler alert, but alright.
I mean,
Dude,
but
man, that game came out. Come on, stop it.
We'll say honestly, don't feel bad because I can tell you, as much as I love this game, Xenosaga Episode 1, the first cutscene is 48 minutes. When you first cut the game on and you hit start, it's 48 minutes.
No, it's not. It's like 30...
Dude, I have the DVD that's 5 hours long that actually doesn't have all those cutscenes. When you hit start game on Xenosaga, the first cutscene is continuously 48 minutes. I'm not kidding you.
I don't remember that. I'm gonna have to go pop that in.
Okay, that might be a great game and everything. I know it's a great game. I know it's a great game, but man, I would.
Game, dude.
If I came back from the store and had to wait nearly an hour to play the game I just bought, I'd be pissed. I'm
It's
sorry.
like, you can't skip. This is first viewing.
This is first viewing because if you skip it, because it's that kind of game, then you pretty much screwed your entire playthrough over because you have no idea what happened.
No. If you look it up on YouTube, I'm dead serious. You can probably find it on YouTube, and I think someone on YouTube actually has like all the cutscenes lined up. But and the DVD they released for the game was like only 5.5 hours. So, but it's not all the cutscenes, just the most important ones. But the very first one is well over 40 minutes. I'm not exaggerating.
God
I
damn.
timed it.
What happens if
I did not remember it being that long.
What happens if you've seen that cutscene before? You happen to, lose or sell the game or whatever, and then you have to get a new game, or what? You have to sit through that 45-minute cutscene again.
Cosmos.
They actually allow you, even if it's the first time, they actually allow you to skip it. You can skip the cutscene the first time around, but I can understand.
Okay, yeah. So you have the choice.
Yes, but the reason why, to me, the story in that game was so deep and engrossing, you didn't want to skip the cutscenes, even if you had seen them before. I'm telling
Oh
you
yeah, I can
from
understand that.
experience.
I'm just saying different people will have different, you know.
Yeah, because I could see some people actually wanting to buy a ELR version. It's like, yeah, that's too long. I just want to get to playing, you know? Some people are impatient like that. Not me. I would pretty much want to watch the first cutscene in a game like this because I know it's important. I mean, duh. But, you know, I
I
know some people won't be able to survive that.
I
See, I
got
mean,
mixed feelings about that type of stuff, but I'm not gonna lie to you. When presented in that manner, it's friggin' awesome because it really does enhance the gameplay. But I still hate excessive cutscenes. It worked well
Right.
for that game, but dude, really, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that.
see for me, I think it can be too much in some games and it can be non-existent in others. You know, like where you look at some games and they're all cutscenes, as you say. You know, it's just an interactive movie, where it's too much. But then sometimes for me, say you look at like a Mario game and you're basically going through a map, jumping into a level, going from A to Z, as the case may be. It would be nice to occasionally have an intro cutscene to a level, setting the mood or something.
Like Mario
Where
Galaxy.
I feel, yeah, where or if you compare them to directly to like Sonic games, where they have a little bit more story and character before you go into a level. Don't cut the level up with it. Leave the levels as they are, but just give us a bit more mood and sort of theme to it.
Right.
True.
They need
I
to
mean,
just
I
mix
can
it for
see that.
Mario RPG. Sorry. I might keep saying that in every podcast. They need to make a new Mario RPG.
Hey,
The sad thing
knowing
about
Nintendo, they probably are. Which also brings me to the very next topic, one of the last ones. I know
Oh
this is
my
going to
god.
be long.
You're going
I
for a
mean,
marathon tonight, bro.
I know. It's just like how many topics have we
I
went
mean,
through?
well, this is a big thing. I mean, because me personally, I think it's already happened. I'm not sure about you guys, but I think the crash has happened, which is why we're seeing a rise of indie games. But there is no loyalty today because third parties are chasing the money, not necessarily the best console or should I say, publisher. They're going for what pays more, which is why they're releasing their games on every single console and not optimizing the game for any single console.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
some of you are kind of, running at this, but don't fight over each other, please. Um, I will make a random choice. Zen, you can go first.
Oh, gotta put me on spot like that, huh? All right. Um. Yeah, this crash has already happened. If you look at it from the perspective that Ken is looking at it from, I wouldn't say he's wrong, but at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily say he's right. I would say if I get a chance to put my opinion here, we're on a bullet train to the crash. We're getting there and getting there fast. The fuel, it's us. Last time the industry crashed, quote unquote, the North American industry, whatever you decide to call it, however you decide to put it or phrase it or iterate it, it crashed because of the companies. This time it's going to crash because of us. We are the fault. We are the catalyst this time around because these companies keep testing the waters. They keep putting things out there, bad practices, you name it. Over the last few hours, you've heard us pretty much name them all, but we have supported them time and time again. We never, outside of a very, 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 very few instances, we've never stood together and said, you know what, F that bullshit, we're not doing it. And you can take that shit as it is and stuff it. We're not buying that shit. We just couldn't put aside our need to gain for the better of the industry. We just kept on buying into this nonsense. And it's going to lead us down a path that we're going to all regret in the end because I'm not too sure what the industry will look like after this supposed crash, after it hits its apex and everything has come and gone after, all of these events take place. You can say that the indies will take over. They've already begun, but it's not a place that I would want to be. When you asked me 10 years ago, how long would I game for? Before you even finish the question, I would say lifetime, baby, because that's what I do. I love this shit, and I'm never gonna stop. The more time has passed, the older I get, And the more I see this nonsense going on here, more and more companies just going through anti-consumer bullshit after anti-consumer bullshit, I'm beginning to believe that if it continues the way it is, if we lose the last few bastions of hope in this industry, unfortunately, you call me a fanboy if you like, but Nintendo is one of them. You lose that, then, you know, it's a place I don't want to be, man. It should be a dark, dire, grim industry that I didn't grow up on, that none of you guys grew up on, that no one should want to exist in. It'll just be it for me personally. That, if anything, will make me want to stop gaming. So, to answer your question directly, has it already happened? I'd say no. But we're fast getting there. And if we as gamers don't stand up and use our executive power as the bosses, yeah, you heard right, then we're going to crash the industry ourselves this time. With a little assistance from the companies, but the final call to press that button to blow it all up is going to be ours. That's just about it.
Anyone else?
I'll contribute.
You want to contribute?
I said I will. Well, all right. Anyway,
What the hell is this?
awkward moment. But anyway, yeah. Just like he said, it's just if the thing is, I don't think. Now, to me, I don't think the crash has happened at all yet. What the heck was that?
Is that the Predator?
God damn.
I'm not sure what that was. Yeah. Oh. But anyway, the thing is, the crash has not happened yet. I don't think. I think we're close to it because of all the stuff that's been happening, and if these people just don't realize it quick, then it's gonna happen like that, like right away. So people have to, stop. I know this is gonna be hard, and I know the minority, right? But it's just if we continue going on like this as gamers, and the companies keep doing this kind of stuff, and it's definitely gonna crash, definitely. Now you can see more indies coming out with games, and more of the triple A's are not really that much. They're just coming out with the same franchises that have been going on for like, I would say 10 years, 25 years, stuff like that. And we got indie games coming in that are just totally new and stuff. And things like people saying, "Oh, the indie games are the way to the crash." Oh, this is why. Now, indie games are actually good because the people that always wanted to make a game, now they have the chance, and they wanted to bring their vision. So it's not really a bad thing. I don't think indie games are like a bad thing to the industry in total. I know there's so much coming out every single day. Or every single week, but that's more accurate. But it's just, I really don't think they're the ones to blame. It's more like the companies and gamers who support this garbage of paying like every single 5 minutes for, let's say, putting the disc in, because I can tell you that's where we're headed. I'm gonna tell you that. Yep. So it's like. It's just like you want to turn on the console, that'll be $5. You want to plug in the console, that'll be another $5. Oh, you want to put the game inside your console? That's gonna be $125, my friend. So it's just people. I feel like that's where it's gonna be headed, and I really don't want it to. But if people keep giving into this stuff and being like, well, that's how things are. Well, that's how things are, and they always use that excuse, Oh, but that's how things are, doesn't mean you should really go into it, right? Doesn't mean you should support it. If you think, even I got people that think it's stupid, but then they're like, oh, but that's how things are, so what can we do? I mean, I can't do anything about it. But the thing is, if we all go together, it will stop. And I know that's like, a fantasy dream, but...
Hey, games. Just to build off of what he said, just really quickly, people keep saying that's how things are.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a rope around your neck and that noose is tightening. At that point, are you gonna say that's how things are? Shrug shoulders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's, I mean, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. You can't just be like, oh well, that's how things are, and then like all of a sudden you get destroyed by it. No. If you want to change something, you go out and change it with, I don't know, a large group of people or something. It might be a fantasy dream, but actually things work. You never know. This world is full of possibilities, and that could be a possibility. So if people stop paying for this, how can I say, season passes, which I highly doubt people are gonna stop. I mean, that's just like, that's a real fantasy dream. But if people just stop, like, oh well, it's too bad. That's what is there, so I can't do anything. It's just like, well, I'm sorry, my friend. That rope will get tighter. So really, it's just, I think the gaming crash is not here, but I know it's soon coming. And I know I mixed the words around of coming soon, but I always do that. But yeah, it's just I think it's about to come. I would say around the year 2020.
Damn, you're better than me.
Yeah.
Me as well. You're generous,
Zen's like, it's happening next year, man.
I would say the year would be happening is 2020, like for real, because it's not gonna happen now, because I feel like there is somewhat of balance around some. I'm not saying everything. I'm just saying probably that some is like 10%, but really I really do think
disagree. I gotta partially disagree. I'm gonna have to partially disagree with you guys. Is that I don't think it'll be a full all-out crash. It's gonna be more of a partial crash. It's basically gonna be like, it's gonna be kind of like a partial exodus. What's gonna happen is, in the next couple of years, we're gonna finally see what all these systems have to offer and all the content's coming out, and people's gonna realize how certain things is pure garbage and it should not be tolerated. And people are gonna either leave gaming, period, or they're gonna move on to other consoles or to PC. So I think there will be a crash, but not to the extreme lengths as some people might think it is. I think it's more like a almost partial ending of most third party and maybe even one or two of the console manufacturers.
I can definitely see that. I mean, but I'm pretty sure you guys are all better than me because I honestly think, gaming has crashed and this is kind of like a recovery period right now. I think the crash took place basically from about, I would say, 2007 or 8 up until like 2012, 2013. I really do think that. Because if you think about all the BS we've tolerated, yearly installments of, we had a influx of shooters.
Dude, I left gaming more or less during that time frame. I only played my older games. Between like 2006 to like...
Prime example then. I
Yeah,
mean, there was an influx of shooters, and like people like you left gaming. Even I didn't play as much, but I still played. The Wii, you can say in a sense, brought me back to gaming. The Xbox introduced me to online gaming, whatever. But even that got old pretty quick. And when a Wii U was announced, I was like, I have a full interest in gaming again. And this is coming from someone that I'm over 30 and I've been playing games since '85, since the Nintendo came out. And I've even played the old
You've been
Ataris.
playing almost as long as me. Okay. I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, sorry, to go off that same thing of sort of, the gaming is the gaming is crashed, or the companies have sort of gone downhill and things. And it's already happened, and we're kind of recovering. I think it's a key point when you look at the one sort of group that we haven't looked at yet. I mean, when we talk about indie gamers or indie companies, we think about these smaller sort of eShop titles that are popping up for, small amounts of money on, on the consoles and things like that. But there's these independent companies that are appearing from key developers as well. I mean, you see these developers that have almost kind of fell asleep and just get paid to do the same thing, and it recurs and recurs and recurs. But now we're seeing projects like Mighty Number 9. We're seeing guys coming out of other things and going into like the Big Red Button. there's a few sort of, even with the whole thing right now with Devil's Third, that they've came away from Team Ninja and they're doing their own separate project. These things probably wouldn't be coming about right now if these guys hadn't went, you know what, we're not happy with things either.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll give my 2 cents on this before we finish off. And you lot can hear me, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, for me, it depends on how you look at it. There's two ways you can look at this. You know, I think. Okay, let me just look at it this way. Has the industry crashed yet? No. But this is where the issue is. It's not that the industry has already crashed, in my opinion. The gamers have crashed. A lot of the gamers have crashed, and because they have crashed, it's going to cause eventually the industry to crash, because the industry are supporting a lot of crashed gamers. But I don't think it's going to destroy the industry completely. I think that what's going to happen, because gaming has expanded so much over time, I think what's going to happen is that it's going to be a case of the fittest shall survive, and that will be in both the companies and the gamers themselves. So I think we're going to see a thing where, because gamers have crashed, a lot of third-party companies are eventually going to fold, and they're going to crash and go under and everything like that, or shrink. And the end result will be the companies that have been fit enough to survive through it all will keep going. Obviously, you'll have the indies and stuff like that, and the smaller, more independent companies. And the game, and then what will be left behind are the gamers, are what I would call the real gamers, the gamers that understand and embrace the culture of gaming for what it is. So that's what I can predict happening, and at this rate, I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I can see it happening as early as 2017, 2018.
Oh man, I can see that right now. Gamers at
Wow,
large beyond
okay.
gamers at large beyond two souls.
That sounds not too far from what I said. Alright, cool.
Mhm.
But sorry, just to quickly sort of sum that in my head, that totally makes sense, especially when you look at sort of the way that the casual gamer is going. I mean, sure, there's that vocal percentage that play Call of Duty, but the general casual gamer that, you know, when you look at the Wii that bought those numbers, they're all moving to the likes of mobile gaming, and mobile gaming is so flooded right now that at some point the whole thing's just going to implode on itself.
Yeah.
You see,
the mobile
that's
gaming,
another thing.
Mobile
So
gaming
then,
have a
those
crash.
casual gamers disappear altogether, and you're only left with the actual core.
You know, it's just the thing is, mobile gaming is a cancer. It is to this whole gaming.
Mobile
You know?
gaming is like how it was back in the day with Atari and ColecoVision and all these others, and they had the original gaming crash. That's what it is.
Exactly.
So much garbage content.
Because the thing is, all there is on mobile.
Microtransactions.
Yes, because all the things that are on mobile are just the same copied stuff from other games. That's all it is. Candy Crush, Angry Birds.
It's
You got-
basically charged convenience. All it
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
It could be the simplest action. It's just tapping a button, but it's charged convenience.
You people
You
are
know what,
so
yeah.
biased. All of you are wrong because Flappy Bird is revolutionary, man.
You know, I
Quiet,
wasted
Zen-Pactor.
envy right now.
Be quiet, Zen-Pactor. In all
All this
honesty,
stuff is revolutionary. You guys are wrong. Angry Birds is the truth.
whatever.
EA
in
is
all
giving up
honesty,
all console
you
gaming,
know-
and they're only going to make phone games because that is the future.
You know, honestly, when it comes to mobile gaming, it's one of those things where I just don't care. You know, I see it for what it is, and you know, to say it's gonna be a threat to console gaming or whatever, anything like that, yeah, that's just bull. It really
pure
is.
bullocks.
It's not going
as
to be
a
an
gamer-
end threat to the core gamers, but when you know the mass money is with the casual gamer, that's their mass crowd to sell to. If they move away to mobile, that's a huge loss to the likes of Sony and Microsoft and, you know, companies that want to sell to that casual audience.
Well, we have a
That's
saying.
good,
Well, we
because
have
I
a
don't want
we
it.
have well, we have a little saying in Jamaican. It goes like this: "For them business." At the end of the day, so mobile gaming is just one of them things where I don't care. It's so insignificant that it doesn't
As the,
faze me.
as the esteemed Reggie Fils-Aimé say, not my problem.
Meh.
Meh.
Nah.
Anybody else?
Beyond. I guess
Well, well, if no one else has anything to say, we're gonna
I
go
just have
ahead.
one more. I just have one more thing to say, and in the word, this is inspired from Zen Gamer himself. And when it comes to gaming nowadays and what we're going in, welcome to the new age.
All right, thanks for the big up, brother.
No problem.
Well, guys, I do thank you all for joining me this evening for the imminent crash of gaming, whether it be major or minor. Um, I'm just gonna let you guys do your outros because this has actually been a long podcast. I didn't expect it to be this long. Then again, I did. I apologize if some of you are tired or have been sleeping. I won't say any names, but it's understandable. But I want to start from my
I
left to
plead the
right.
fifth.
Well, Michael, you can go ahead and give out your intro. You also your outro.
Well, thanks again for having me on and enduring me whilst I've been dropping asleep. So, sorry, enduring me while I've been asleep, coming out of the podcast and coming back in because of my erratic sleeping behavior. But yeah, man, it's been good. It's been a long one, but it's been a good one, and I think it's one that people really need to hear. So as always, as I always say, play your games, people, enjoy your games, and just have fun. And please, just don't give a crap what other people think.
All right, and games.
Well, everybody, thank you for coming in, and this was a great discussion about if will the crash ever come. But sadly it must end. So hopefully you guys liked this podcast, and don't forget to catch on to me because I am back in full throttle. My computer is now stronger than ever, and I will be making videos every now and then. But hopefully you guys will join me in there because I have something great coming up. So hopefully you guys come. And as I always say, and my motto, don't lose your way. Don't be afraid. Just game till the end.
And this is the end. Next, you got Gordon. Go ahead, man.
Hey, I'm Gordon, and it's been my first podcast for you guys, so I hope my input's been sort of welcome and enjoyed. I've really enjoyed sort of just the discussion overall, and to just sort of reiterate what the other guys are saying, it's all about having the fun. Who cares what anybody else is doing?
All right, and Shep.
Alright, good peoples, thank you for being here. All I have to say to you is that you play games to defrag, to enjoy your life. So if you're gonna play games to relax, to enjoy yourself, stop worrying about everybody else's opinion. Just play your games, enjoy it. And everybody, thank you for listening. Have a good night.
And Zen, go ahead.
Alright, the one and only Nintendo, the Zen Gamer, the one and only King of Logic here, signing off on this lovely, lovely podcast, which turned into a marathon, and we really should end it. Or there will be a different sort of crash in the physical and personal nature. So I'll just keep it short and brief and say head on over to the ZGZ. If you like what you see, stick around and subscribe. If you don't, well, nothing I can do about that, but I'm fairly sure you'll be back eventually. That's just about it, guys. Live, love, play.
All right, and this is Dr. Feelgood signing off. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me on my first ever live podcast. There'll be more to come, and I'm going to do my very damn best to make them a lot shorter than this. But anyway, good night to everyone. Thank you for joining and listening in. And as I always say, just keep it gaming. Catch you guys later.